For T2 North American Siege. Just 5 weeks ago, 16 teams entered the fray, and now only 8 teams remain, all of which have the same singular goal in mind: become the champions of Element 2. We've got 8 teams, 4 days, a single elimination bracket, and $25,000 on the line. The Element 2 playoffs start right now. These teams really like to find that rhythm and can run quite a distance once they do.
Beautiful shot. They went out and the triple.
NBK puts us down to a 1v1 and wins it. Takes down one. Jay takes down two. Make that 2 on top.
Jay! Mo doesn't know, or does he? He wraps around with the pistol. Indy doesn't even react.
Like a beanie. Oh my God!
Welcome in, everybody. It is playoffs time, so naturally we've got quite a bit to discuss today. Thanks for joining us. We've got Super, we've got CDAPS, I'm Jay Zwills, and we've got quite a day ahead. Gentlemen, great to have you with me here. We haven't, unfortunately, had analysts on the broadcast yet, but I've heard, Super, that you have been keeping an eye on the matches so far. What have you thought?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody knows that I kind of I always keep my eye on T2. You never know when the Sonics might need a roster change. But yeah, I actually talked to C-Depths about this a little bit, you know, before we even got to the desk. And we've kind of been a little bit disappointed with kind of the team play we've seen so far. So, you know, now that we're in the playoffs, now that we've got our top 8 teams, I'm interested to see if, you know, the level of play kind of ramps up, if maybe some teams were holding back a bit. And now that, you know, there's money on the line here, everybody's in the money now, if things kind of turn around for, you know, some of these teams that maybe were struggling a bit.
Well, they no longer really have any leeway. This is single elimination after all. And Connor, it is a little wild to say that we are only 4 days into the new year, but today we are going to say goodbye to 2 of these quarterfinals contenders.
Yeah, and I mean, with the teams that we're seeing so far on the top side of the bracket, we've got Envy, Dilemma, SSG Academy, and Alpha Atheris. 2 of those teams will be gone. Ultimately, I think that quarterfinal 2, that SSG Academy versus Alpha Atheris game, is going to be a lot more hotly contested than that quarter 1. But at the end of the day, we've seen here in Element so many things just come through. Any given Sunday mentality brought in, saying that, you know, any team can beat any team, because this is tier 2 North American Siege and crazier things have always happened.
It can get a little wild out there. At least today on the docket, we're expecting to see some pretty wild stuff. As you pointed out, Connor, we're starting things off with that SSG Alpha Atheris game. 2 of those bigger name organizations that were invited directly into the Swiss stage here in Element 2. But we'll close things off tonight with Envy and Dilemma. Super kind of unfortunate that these 2 teams are going up against each other, the 1 and the 8 seed, but both of these teams qualified through the open qualifiers, the very same open qualifier at that.
Yeah, I think in a way they're both kind of an underdog story, where one of them maybe wasn't expected to make it this far after we kind of saw them early, and Dilemma you know, kind of turned it around and started getting it together. And then Envy, they were kind of coming into this unknown, and then immediately they just look like they're one of the best teams. So it's interesting to see if they're going to keep it up, because they're kind of a team that's on the rise. They've got a lot of players on their team who I think have shown potential that maybe they, you know, they're ready for a next kind of level thing, and this is the perfect opportunity to showcase it.
Well, tonight we will start on the top side of this bracket, and it will be SSG and Alpha Atheris. SSG Academy, one of these teams, Connor, who actually, well, I suppose it's only fitting they start off this playoff series, because they were the ones who actually opened up Element 2 in the Swiss stage. A very exciting 8-6 overtime win against Cinta Negra Esports. You think we're going to see that same exciting thing in this series?
It is very, very possible, but as sort of the season progressed with SSG Academy, they were more of a slow roster. They're very a classically trained Siege team. You know, they know how to hit gaps and everything, but overall, they are just very slow and methodical. They drone things, they go slow. In stark contrast to what we're going to see with Alpha Atheris, who are a little bit more of an exciting team that go fast.
Well, the pace is one of those major differences that I think we experience between regions, right? You've got NA, that's where SSG, born and bred. On the other side, you've got Alpha Atheris. Super, obviously, you're a bit more familiar with this play style. But from what you've seen in the LATAM teams and what defines kind of their style of play and how they kind of get into the lobby, I mean, what would you say that major difference maker is?
Yeah, I think, not only do Alpha Atheris kind of have, maybe, to be honest, more of a meta understanding. This is a very fast-paced, aggressive, risky kind of meta. Alpha Atheris are a team that played at the last major. They're obviously the only team in this tournament who played at the last major. They're from the Mexican Pro League. And so to me, it's kind of like, what can SSG Academy show us here that they can stop Alpha Atheris from forcing gunfights, from getting in their face? Can a slow-paced team like SSG Academy get in the map against a team like Alpha Atheris where every entry point is going to be contested? It's a dynamic, match in terms of opposite play styles. And the truth is I'm not really sure what to expect, because on paper, Alpha Atheris are the better team. Going down to their history, they're a more successful team. But they're both here playing each other now, and it's going to be interesting to see if SSG can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, well, even if that may be the case, SSG have come into the bracket as the 4 seed, Connor. So they are technically the favored team, at least in this instance. They have had, again, some ups and downs. They were unable to do much against CLB in their best of 3 that they initially failed to qualify for the playoffs right off the bat. But they bounced back, and they put on a show while doing it.
Yeah, and for me, something that Super alluded to, that this has been a rougher stage of Element in comparison to Element 1. I think all teams except CLB are encompassed in that, because they really did impress. And SSG Academy, sure, they didn't find very much success against CLB, but they did make them look somewhat human, in stark contrast to what we've seen with a lot of other teams that CLB were just completely destroying. So if SSG Academy are able to, just bounce back and show again that as sort of they progressed in this entirety of the event, where people like Aimkey and Vil were really stepping up. JetCon, he had a very rough start to the stage, where all of a sudden, as they found their footing, they started running, and they're going to keep on going with some momentum.
When I look at these teams, it gets a little it's surprising to see SSG Academy in this, placing, because for some people, I think coming into this, we expected to see them higher placing. For others, looking at the roster, looking at the way they play, maybe it's a little surprising they made it at all. As we see here, almost 0 rounds they play are flawless. Everything is going to be close. Every single round comes down to kind of the last seconds. And like you alluded to, and we mentioned already, that's a sign of a slow-paced team. The real question in this match is going to be, can a team that doesn't really get flawless rounds, they don't really get quick rounds, they kind of drag everything out, try to play to that execution, force defenses, force you on attack to do something. Can a team that plays that style beat a team that is very aggressive, that is very fast, that is very experienced, and that, to be honest, come into this match as, if we're just alluding to or thinking about where these teams came from, this is the favorite of the tournament, right? Alpha Atheris. They're a major team. So to me, I need to see what SSG Academy have in store for Alpha Atheris to stop them from just, to be honest, getting in their face, shutting them down, and running them over.
Connor, I think we've got this Alpha Atheris team that has come in, right, and maybe did not start out the strongest, having that loss to Osiris.
I really don't think that they started that strong, because, you could think that, Alpha Atheris, they came in, they needed an adjustment period for exactly how they were going to move into this new region. They found success domestically here, there in LATAM and Super. You already said it, they made the Atlanta major. Sure, they didn't find success there, but when you're in the company of teams like W7M and you're fighting against all these huge rosters, it means that you're doing something right. And continually through this tournament here, we saw Alpha Atheris start to do even more right, as they're a very fast and well aggressive team. A lot of the NA teams here were struggling to just get and kind of figure out what Alpha Atheris were going to be bringing to the table.
Yeah, I think you look at Alpha Atheris, they have a player like Ivan, who has been pretty dominant in this tournament. I think he's over +20, and the rest of them don't really, you know, they don't really do bad, they don't really do great, they all kind of do their job. And you look at the stats and say, well, this team only has 4 plants in the entire tournament. Well, guess what? That just means they kill you. And this match, as we see there, they're +6 on entry. SSG Academy are a team who are -8 on entry. So you start, like, you know, looking at the stats, thinking about the matchup. We've got a team that's slow, a team that struggles on entry, going against a team that's fast, a team that's good on entry, with dominant players. You know, look at these decisive rounds where they're, you know, if they win a round, it seems like they either they kill all of you or you kill all of them. There's no planting. There's no really, I don't even want to say too strategic play. They're just going to force gunfights, and it's going to be the job of SSG Academy to match that firepower that Alpha Atheris brings to the game.
Yeah, and you were already saying that, like, you know, Alpha Atheris, they don't make it to the execute phase because they have less than a 5% plant allowed percentage. So on their defenses, they're either killing all of you or they're gonna just go all in on the roam and get taken out. As well as on their attacking side, they have a league low 13% plant percentage, but sure, a decent enough post plant percentage, but most of the time it seems like these frags getting just the overall aggression and map control that comes with throwing bodies right behind drones at a fast tempo is what the win condition for Alpha Atheris is.
Yeah, and I think, you know, looking at this, all the pressure is on Alpha Atheris, right? They're the favorite to win. SSG Academy are the team that, can they rise to the occasion? And, you know, I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because Alpha Atheris, they're expected to win. At the same time, they've played in the major, so how much, you know, mentally, what does this match mean to them? SSG Academy are a team trying to prove themselves. What's going to happen here?
Well, those are the insights that we can give you, but the players, they've got something for us as well. We had a chance to sit down with Trevmac and Fatal to hear what they had to say about this upcoming match.
Hi, my name is Fatal, and I'm playing for Alpha Atheris.
My name's Trevor. My in-game name is Trevmac, and I play for SSG Academy. So when we qualify for playoffs, that's a weight lifted off your shoulder, right? Because that's everyone's goal, to at least make playoffs and then obviously win. But making playoffs is huge.
We were expecting it. We were very confident. So it was just like, okay, we got it, guys. Chill and into the nets.
So I think the biggest thing that my team has learned through all of Element 2 so far is that it's a team game. Everyone has to communicate, everyone has to be helping, everyone has to be giving ideas. As long as we have teamwork, we can beat pretty much any team.
We have learned to counter the teams. I think we have won almost all our games, watching what they do and countering the other team.
So when it comes to AAT, just from like VOD reviewing, on defense, if we can find their bridge player and kill that player, they don't refill that spot and they don't fall back. So our main priority is going to be looking for that bridge player, limiting them, and then obviously from there we have gaps we can exploit. But just in general, they play pretty solo, so we can just isolate players.
I think they're very slow. They just make executes on the last seconds. They play so passive. They wait for picks outside the map and all that. So I think if we play passive too, like waiting for them to execute, we're gonna get some free rounds, especially on the defense.
So AAT plays a very fast style of Siege. They like to get in the building fast. They have their presets and they just go.
They play good. They play as a team. They stay alive and they go for executes. They play so good as a team.
So our goals for playoffs, obviously we want to win the whole thing. I think everybody does. But realistically, we just want to make it like as far as we can, to be honest. As long as we play our best, I think we'll be happy. I want to shout out the org, and I want to shout out the whole SSG main team, like Call Out included in that. They've all been like a huge help to us. And then shout out to our coaching staff, David and Alive. They're huge helps. We wouldn't be here without them.
Of course, we are trying to get finals, but we are going step by step. We have the potential to get it, of course, and we all want to win, match by match. To the guys that follow us, we're doing our best. We will try to win this tournament.
Both Trevmac and Fatal very clear about what they have in mind, at least when it comes to exploiting maybe their opponent's weaknesses. Connor, as we both know, it all comes down to where they are going to play, and that can often dictate what type of attacks, what type of defenses we're going to see from both of these teams.
Especially because going into the map ban phase, both of these teams are very interesting in the fact that they've only found success on 2 maps each, being Bank in Oregon for Alpha Atheris and Border Chalet for SSG Academy. So with how Alpha Atheris is going to take out Clubhouse and Border, it makes sense for the permaban that they banned every single time. They don't like Clubhouse. Taking away the Border, that's a strength of SSG Academy, is also equal to what we saw from SSG Academy, having Nighthaven Labs and Consulate being their permabans. Going to Chalet, going to Skyscraper, Chalet, it's a known quantity for SSG. For Alpha Atheris, we haven't really seen a whole lot of what they've brought to the table with this map, besides the fact that there's apparently something that everybody knows, meaning that we don't want to take Alpha Atheris to Skyscraper because opponents have banned it every one of their map ban phases so far.
Yeah, I think SSG Academy picking a map like Chalet is, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Chalet's a map where you're kind of forced to attack fast. It's a little bit easier to attack fast, and they're a slow-paced team, so maybe this just helps them speed it up. The problem is this is also a map where you play fast, as we mentioned. You force a lot of gunfights, and that's what Alpha Atheris thrive at. You go into a map like Skyscraper, Alpha Atheris are comfortable on this map. Alpha Atheris played this map at the Major. Coincidentally, they did play it against SSG. So, obviously these teams are related. It's Academy, a team of SSG. Is there a little bit of information from SSG's main team that could be passed to the Academy team to help them out? Or is it just a matter of, well, it wouldn't really be helpful to you because, we kind of have better players. We're the main team and, you kind of deal with this. So I think these maps are interesting. I don't want to give my prediction away yet because I know we're getting to that, but I do have a clear favorite once I see these bans.
Well, let's do it right now. We got all the cards on the table, and now we know the maps. I mean, Super, you brought it up. Let's start with you. Give me a prediction. Who's taking not just this map, but the series? Who's winning this?
I'm going to go Alpha Atheris, and I think they're going to win 2-0. I think the Sky map for them is good. Traditionally, Tier 2 teams really struggle on Sky. I think it's a hard map to play fundamentally. It's also a hard map to get inside. I think on a map like Chalet, SSG is going to try to speed it up. The map forces that. Unfortunately, Alpha Atheris thrive under those kind of conditions, so I think both these maps kind of just play into the Alpha Atheris playstyle.
Honor, what about you?
I really don't have much more to add onto a 2-0 Alpha Atheris because that's exactly what I was thinking. I think overall the speed of SSG Academy is what's going to kill them, or the lack thereof. They're averaging 30 seconds more per 30 more seconds for them to get an opening attack and kill. And I think overall, with how explosive Alpha Atheris is on the defense, they're not going to be getting very many of them.
All right, sue me. I'm going to join you. I'll go Alpha Atheris as well. Hard not to vote for the major attendees, especially since they've really picked up the pieces after that week 1 loss. But the only thing left to do, gentlemen, is send it to the game. We've got Chalet. It is Crow and Happy with the call.
Thank you so much, Jonah. While I do desperately miss my duo of many weeks, first time casting with Crow. Very excited to finally get on the broadcast with someone I haven't had any experience with before, and very excited for the playoffs. It's a big day that we're on for as well, with Spacestation Academy versus Alpha Atheris starting us off, and I think they did a very good job introducing that game, don't you, Crow?
Guys, I was muted. Chat, I messed up. But as I was saying, I really do agree with the desk and how they broke down both these teams, especially the map selection. I mean, Chalet, yes, SSG have been comfortable on it, but I really think this is going to be the only map that they have a chance to win on. Skyscraper is super defender-sided, super slow, super hard to get into, just like Super said. And Alpha Atheris thrive in that really aggressive game. And it's not just any aggressive game, it's entry denial. They are going to meet you wherever you're trying to enter the building. And while SSG, I like that plan that Trevmac laid out that, Alpha Atheris, they don't really fall back. So we're going to try and kill that bridge player. If you don't know what a bridge player is, he's kind of the guy in between the roam and the site. His job is to, 1, prevent any sort of rush, or at least call out a rush should it come through, and 2, cover those roamers, or help cover those roamers as they try to fall back. So I like SSG's plan of trying to kill that bridge player to isolate the roamers. The problem is, Happy, I don't know how they're going to get that deep to achieve that, because Alpha Atheris will rotate, or their roam will move around the map if you're going to the other side. So this is going to be really tough to get things going.
Kind of like an easier said than done plan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we just need to kill the bridge player. Well, how? It's not that simple. There are a couple places on this map that I think you could do that, namely if they're running upstairs on this very kitchen bomb site, if Alpha Atheris choose to go there. You play maybe solar windows, kill someone who's anchoring inside of solar, and that can make it hard for the roamers to get back to site if they're not able to access the hatch, or just getting that kill in general. That's maybe where the bridge player would be, pivoting between trophy and solar. That's one that comes to mind, so it makes sense why they chose to pick into this map. But again, on maps like Sky, the bridge player is not going to be easy to get to. On maps like Oregon even, there may not be a bridge player. They may just choose to bunker down. It's not a very good map for the roamers. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, or at least I'll try not to get ahead of myself. Spacestation Academy, starting off on the kitchen dining objective, and already the alibi pick is standing out to me quite a lot.
Now, alibi, of course, that is one of Trevmac's favorite operators. He is likes being let off the leash because he's typically on that soft support role. But we talked about Alpha Atheris wanting to play fast, and look at their lineup. Capitao sends plenty of smokes, the glass to try and peer through them, and they've already opened up this trophy window. If this doesn't scream trophy rush, I don't know what does.
Yeah, the ROUs are going to play a big part in, cutting off that angle from inside of kitchen, specifically the ROU projectors from Sens. That's going to be integral because they're already, you can tell, with the way that Alpha Atheris are playing this attack, they're expecting someone to be right where Focal is, holding the exact holes that Focal is holding. And so they're going to try and probably drone hole with the Sens gadget through the drone hole, cut off that one angle, get quick control of trophy with that. Somebody's probably going to be set up on solar windows so they can cut the rotate off really quickly. That's where Mutombo is right now, and it's time to go.
Here we go, RU projectors coming out, and impact goes to the face of the glass, but it'll miss. That'll allow him to hop right through because the Maestro stops spraying. First kill is going to go to Ivan. The follow-up from the glass, already a 5v3, as Alpha Atheris' entry is incredibly successful, cutting off more info in West Main. The only other, he's got 3 Evil Eyes, so 2 out of the 3 Evil Eyes now disabled. The plant actually going down from the glass himself. That's a little bit odd. Typically, he's charged with covering, but SSG Academy have been completely unable to respond to this because of this position from Mutombo. 2 kills, watching those defenders upstairs, locking them down, preventing the rotation, and Ivan with the finisher. A beautifully set up trophy execute from Alpha Atheris.
Beautiful, beautiful start for Alpha Atheris. Just an outstanding spotting of that gap inside of trophy, and they make nothing unclear once they start to break in. This is where we're going to go, challenging SSG to make a play inside of solar, and that tells me that they've really done their prep for SSG specifically on this map. They figured that SSG were going to pick into it. They left it up because they noticed plenty of things in the Space Station Academy game plan that they could absolutely exploit, and already showcasing one of them in a big way to start things off, as SSG now have their entire strategy in question on that kitchen bomb site. They're not playing it again. They're going down to the basement as they seemingly don't quite know how to remedy the problems they just had on that last site upstairs and dining. So they're going to go downstairs, see if they can get a win here, then maybe try and pick that kitchen bomb site back up later and be prepared for that Sens rush.
I like what we're seeing from Alpha Atheris, though, right off the bat, wanting to set the pace of these attacks. SSG are a team that not only plays slow on their own attacks, but also like to force the enemy attack to play as slow as they do with, roams, heavy utility setups, etc. And Alpha Atheris found a way to completely bypass that. Now we're seeing the glass come out once again, but instead of a Sense, this time we have Fatal playing on the Osa. So those shields are going to be set up, likely outside that garage breach. Sometimes it's like 1-and-1, like 1 outside garage and then 1 wide side. Sometimes it's 2 on one side. Fatal's right here, not necessarily for the shield, but for the EMP. And he does end up putting one of those Talon shields down, and they're going to use both thermites on this wall just to ensure that there is nowhere safe to play in Garage.
They have Toski going backside with the Selmas as well, so if you were worried they weren't going to have anything to open up Boiler Wall, open up this cutoff that can look into Connector, that's not a problem for them because they have the ace on top of that. And this is the perfect kind of take here from Alpha Atheris. There are so many roamers right now for Space Station Academy, so Alpha Atheris choosing to try and circumvent that. However, between the hatch into Wine Cellar and these holes that Focal is currently looking through, it may not be good, but Max killed himself in JetCon. What?
How does that happen? Wait, where was he?
I don't know. I genuinely am not sure. Oh,
did
was
he
trying
try
to open a hatch?
Oh, he tried to. I think they tried to C4 the barricade and have JetCon run out, like off the C4, so the attack didn't have time to react. And it didn't work. Now, Aimkey's vertical angle we saw him playing before will get a kill onto Akabil. That's what Alpha Atheris have been worrying about this whole time. It's really the only reason that they haven't been able to push through the breach yet. But Toski's just walked his way into Wine and is walking around un-ADS. Luckily, Ivan's there for the immediate refrag. But it's a 3-on-2. It could have been a lot better for SSG ACAD had that explosive not killed 2 of their defenders. Matumbo's going to make matters worse with the pick on the Vil, and Aimkey is the last man standing as the plant is going down way across the map in the other bomb site. Fatal's going to be able to get it down for free, and there's really nothing that Aimkey can do about it. Now the attackers begin to fall off. There's track stingers everywhere, and as soon as Aimkey steps his foot into one of those spikes, Ivan's there to collect.
I mean, that's just a rough round from Space Station. The double C4 that kills yourself and your teammate, that automatically, not even just a one-man at disadvantage, but 2 players down, just because of a slight mistake in an otherwise pretty solid strategy, right? Like the noise to distract and then the run out from a different angle. I think it could have done really well, especially with so many players outside that garage. It could have netted a lot of kills for Space Station, at the very least, maybe gone 50-50, and made it so much harder to push in through the garage, considering there was still someone watching those vertical holes that are looking at the garage walk-in. However, yet another bomb site that has gone horribly wrong, and Alpha Atheris, for the second time in a row, circumventing the roam game, hitting the site directly, and Space Station Academy not at all prepared for it either time. So they're going to switch into Bar and Games, another site where you see a very heavy, maybe not roam game, but definitely extension upstairs, with Vil setting up his ADSs for that library extension in question. This comes with a lot of vertical control, so maybe this time Alpha Atheris will have to directly challenge that roam game instead of being able to hit the site straight up.
Look whom they might be challenging with. It's Blitz. Alpha Atheris are huge fans of Blitz. We've actually been seeing a whole lot more Blitz across the league as a whole than I think any of us thought. Like, SSG have played Blitz. Alpha Atheris love their Blitz. Decimate, Rival, played Blitz super consistently. It's been a lot. Yeah, Scoob loves Blitz. It's been a really welcome addition.
Someone banned Blitz into Wanted Goons as well. And I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
I think Ariel also banned it against Decimate.
Oh yeah,
when they played. So we've seen so much Blitz. We're warranting bans now. If you told me that, like, if you told me this was going to be the state of T2 like a year ago, I would have called you crazy, because Blitz blew. He sucked. But Alpha Atheris once again quick into the building, off the line call. Gone 6 to get rid of the barbed wire. Matumbo with the first pick on the Aimkey. The follow-up from the Blitz is successful. And Alpha Atheris have injected themselves into the site. Akabil goes down. Matumbo has another response. Vil, 1 HP, the only man in the site, and he's spotted out by Fatal as he tries to go prone in the corner, leaving TrevMac alone. He'll get his off the site, but now the bomb is going down. And another 1v3 with a defender across the map. He's got some info. It's not terribly useful. I mean, Ivan's 1 HP, but he's still a Blitz. Almost a nice shot from TrevMac, trying to come down from the top ropes. But Alpha Atheris have 3 in a row.
I was talking about it before that round that, oh, this site, you get a lot of vertical control if you hold Mezzanine, hold Library, hold Blue Stairs. Surely that means Alpha Atheris will have to challenge it directly again. But no, technically the mezzanine floor is breakable, but Spacestation didn't have any holes in that floor, so they had no way from upstairs to prevent Ivan from just running into the middle of their bomb site. And once that's in that position, the whole defense is thrown into complete disarray, and Alpha Atheris were able to easily pick off players as they tried to get back to the site. Mutombo won some heads-up gunfights as well, and I don't think it could have gone any better. I don't think this opening could have started any better for Alpha Atheris. Space Station Academy only have 4 kills. They're almost not even averaging a kill per round as a team. It is a shaky start for SSG Academy on a team, or on a map rather, that they picked into this season that they have shown to be very much big fans of.
And I feel like now they're kind of in search mode, because after the first round, right, they had a zombie, then they pick up the Legion, that doesn't work, then they add Malusi and Smoke, that doesn't work. Now they're on Capcan. They're just desperately trying to find the combination of operators that is going to once and for all slow down this attack. Even the spawn peek, we saw this last round. He didn't find anything with it, but I definitely respect the attempt to try and throw Alpha Atheris off their game. Now, at the very least, they're not going to have to deal with another Sens Blitz play. Alpha Atheris have a much more standard attacking lineup. It's not completely standard. It's more standard than it's been. They're bringing the Nook on Ivan, who's of course got those nades. He'll be able to slip past any sort of cameras, which isn't going to be the most useful thing in the world. I don't know. Maybe he just likes the gun. And then you got Akabil on Jackal, which is going to speed up these roam clears.
Oh, damage dealt to Jetcon early. Give it a minute. I was going to talk about Nook being picked, but it turns out I got to talk about Toski getting the first pick and Jetcon being first picked himself. Ivan does get one, but traded out by Vil getting a kill, but then there's the trade from Toski and another one for Ivan. As the Nook is doing well, I was going to say that Ivan is very good at entering in an unorthodox way by kind of mixing it with a lurk, finding unusual angles, but he doesn't even really need to do it, as they've seemingly already won this round. Missed shots from Mutombo, but Focal left in a 1-on-4, and this may not be winnable. That's my bad.
It was not.
That was a rough throw.
It was not winnable. Ivan with 3 kills on the Nook. I believe he and Mutombo, I mean, heck, we'll throw Fatal in there too. He, Mutombo, and Fatal are a combined 15-0 right now.
Jeez.
None of them have died yet. It is domination from Alpha Atheris, and once again, SSG, ACAD are left in search mode. The Capcan didn't work. Playing the Roam didn't work because they just got caught by Toski and Ivan sneaking around with that Nook. I certainly don't think they all expected, who was that first? Jetcon expected to just get full pushed by 2 people 30 seconds into the round. Now we're going back to Bar. We've got the Malusi, once again, the Malusi Smoke, Azami, Legion. Again, these guys are going to try and slow it down as much as possible. I like how Alpha Atheris, too, are not going to try the same thing again. They are successful with the rush, they swap off the rush, and still win with a normal attacking comp. So even if SSG expect that rush, it's never going to come. Alpha Atheris, they don't need Gambit plays like that. That's what they just showed us in round 4.
5 seconds to go.
Ivan off the Nook was almost bringing it back in this round and last round as well. Just doing.
They are going back to it.
Oh, no, he's off the Nook. He's not playing it.
Oh, and I was talking about Sens Glass.
Oh, Sens Glass. Yeah, that's different site, but still they want to try and run that strategy. No blitz this time, so it may be harder to just walk into the bomb site. I think SSG can get this one. You know, I've got faith. I'm going to say that SSG can get this round win.
I don't.
Okay, well, you know what? Honestly, I don't blame you, because they have looked relatively uninspired so far this game, to say the least, right? It's like normally we're seeing a team get off to an 0-4 start. You have one round that's like, okay, we lost like a 1-on-1, or we got really unlucky. They had that double C4 your teammates round. That was unlucky, but even still, it was kind of uninspiring beyond that point. I feel like this is just like, maybe they're out of time. Maybe the break was too long. Maybe they're like out of season. They're a little rusty. I don't know what the issue is, but they've got to fix it in like maybe 5 or 10 seconds, because I feel like Alpha Atheris is about to go for another quick push.
Glaz setting up, nades to try and clear stock. The RU projectors going in. In comes Toski. He'll eat a smoke grenade to the face, but it doesn't really matter. It's missing. It's not deep enough. Focal is at least able to cross, maybe get another smoke through, but the plant has been completed in the 5-on-5. Toski gets out and even gets a kill for himself. Fatal to follow up before he's refragged. But the damage, it has been done, and it might be fatal. 4-on-3. Post-plant. Inky trying to make something happen. Downs Akabil, but it's not enough. Another smoke canister to come out, but Toski's holding a long pixel angle, and that leaves TrevMac alone in the 1vx, challenging a DMR, and Toski 3 kills and the 5v5 plant. Alpha Atheris, they just can't be stopped.
On that site, with that hatch open, you'd think of every site, even on this map, that would be the easiest spot to prevent a rush plant, just because the hatch exists, right? And the smoke canisters as well. If you have anybody with C4s, there are so many things that should be in place to stop that from being a thing that can happen for Alpha Atheris, but they're just not. It's like Space Station started to extend so far away from the reaches of the bomb site that they forgot about the holes on the bomb site itself, on every site on this map, no less. They got so used to being challenged on their roam games and on their aggressive top floor extensions that they completely forgot that they have to look out for the holes on the bomb site, of which there are many, as we have seen through every single bomb site of this game, and now they stand on the verge of being flawless on their own defensive half on the map they picked into. I don't believe we've seen a 7-0 all season long. I may be wrong on that, but to my memory, we've seen plenty of 7-1s, but I don't think we've seen a 7-0. And it would be kind of disappointing for the first one to be at the start of the playoffs, in the very first map of the playoffs.
You are correct. There have been no 7-0s. Plenty of 7-1s, like 5
so many.
or something. Yeah, but no 7-0s just yet. Alpha Atheris, they're making a pretty decent bid to get the first. I mean, they still have 2 deathless players. All right. They still have 1 deathless player as Matumbo eats a headshot from TrevMac. So I guess that's 1 big player down. That's also the Thermite, who's incredibly impactful, being the only hard breacher that Alpha Atheris have brought. We've seen them come back from crazier odds than this, especially as they're already in the building, and Akabil styles on Vil through the prone hole.
I mean, the loss of the Thermite is going to be big, because if they wanted to try and go for some dining execute, they're not really going to be able to do that anymore, because the walls that are reinforced that you typically walk into the site through, after you break the reinforced walls, are not going to be breakable at all. Nothing else in terms of hard breach for the attacking side, so this will be tough, but they're still working on clearing that top floor, but JetCon is going to make that a heck of a lot harder. Toski taken down next. And for the first time all game, Alpha Atheris are challenging SSG on their extensions. And for the first time all game, it started quite well for Space Station. However, for every kill they get, Alpha Atheris are getting 1 back. It's just happened again. There goes Ivan. It's a 3-on-3 as they walk in upstairs.
The most important factor for Alpha Atheris right now is that trade potential that they have and that they've had all game. But there goes a C4. It's going to be hard to... I was going to say it's going to be hard to trade that, but Ivan got the kill anyway. Ivan gets another one upstairs. The IQ, almost by herself, breaks the stalemate that SSGA and Alpha Atheris had with each other. But it's aim key. He's done it before. Can he 1v2 now, especially with Akabil at low health, Ivan below 50, armed with the SMG-11 shotgun? This is the perfect fit for this situation. They've even got some info that the players are still upstairs, but Alpha Atheris have near perfect pings, looking to go for the floor bang. They're not going to find the kill, but they do know where he went. They know he's been forced back over towards kitchen, and the hatch is still open. Imke can hear them still moving around, shuffling around upstairs. Might start to hear them go towards the stairs. Ivan's already there, armed with that G8. It is quite a fearsome weapon if held in the right hands, especially in a close quarters gunfight. But is it going to be able to outfrag the SMG-11? No, it is not. A beautiful headshot looking for the second, but he looks up at the hatch. Akabil has already dropped on the drone, gathering info for himself. And by the skin of their teeth, Alpha Atheris take a perfect attacking half.
so much unexpected is coming out of the Alpha Atheris side, even on a micro level, right? We talk about, oh, how unexpected their quick pushes were just in general before that last round. That last round, we saw them kind of go through the motions of a typical attack, but doing so, for the most part, a lot faster than you would expect. I think that's what caught Spacestation off guard. They just weren't expecting to have to take fights as early as they had to, and as often as they had to in the places that they had to. They were expecting either a direct hit, like they've been seeing for the past like 4 or 5 rounds. 80 to 100% of the last few rounds have just been Alpha Atheris hitting the site directly, or they were just expecting a typical take, pretty slow, but they didn't get either of that. Alpha Atheris would continue to push forward even after SSG would get kills, and perhaps that wasn't what SSG expected. It clearly caught them off guard, and even in the last kill there, Akibil just drops the hatch sooner than expected. That's been the name of the game thus far for Alpha Atheris, but how will they manage to kind of catch SSG off guard now that they're on the defensive side?
Even then, I mean, it's going to be SSGA on attack. We know how slow they are. We know how aggressive Alpha Atheris are. I mean, look at their comp. They're bringing up Oryx. They've got that heavy roam upstairs. Got shields and utility set up here too, and SSG, they're not a team that likes to cut corners. They will full clear, and I'm a little concerned that that might be the wrong philosophy to go for, because Alpha Atheris, you know, that's what they're planning for. Alpha Atheris want you to full clear them. So in future rounds, I really hope we see SSG kind of cut a few of those corners like Alpha Atheris did and just go for like a crazy rush play. Question is, you know, do they have the balls to do it? Down 0-6.
They don't have the operator composition to do it. Maybe the Lion would help, but Focal's actually gonna get the opening kill. It seems that Akibil was trying to catch them off guard outside, but it's exactly what SSG Academy were ready for. They are so good at playing slow. We've talked about this all the time. They mentioned it a lot in the pre-show. And so they're going to be aware that Alpha Atheris are feeling on top of the world now that they've started this game off so hot. All that you have to do as Spacestation is wait for them to give you those opportunities. But right now, other than that opener from Akibil, they aren't really coming through. And SSG are still pretty far back, all things considered, compared to where you would expect them to be by this point in the round. They're only really setting up towards lower blue stairs. They're just now starting to maybe take some second floor control. They haven't challenged this top 4 extension at all, and then they may need to do so a lot more quickly than they're comfortable with to get around win here, but Vil is at least going to get that kill onto Ivan. Traded out by a C4 from Toski, though, so Alpha Atheris stay only 1 man behind.
Alpha Atheris are giving SSG Academy opportunities. This is where SSG's attacks thrive. If you give them the opportunities, they will more likely than not be ready for them. They've only got a minute left. You mentioned them not necessarily being quite as far as we'd expect by this point, and I definitely agree. Not even pushed in through office just yet. Finally, they'll have a man stationed on the window that'll push Toski all the way back to Owl. So he and Fatal are in solar. Can't really do much about the rest of any sort of top floor clear. Jetcon will flash himself in, and Focal gets the kill on Toxi as he attempts to fall back. Traded by Fatal through the window. That is an incredibly important kill. Focal should have been good for 2 there. That was Matumbo and Fatal in the 2 versus 3. It's still very winnable, especially with how low the time is getting. SSGA bleed away so much time just on their initial clear, making Alpha Atheris positioning even better because SSGA don't have the time to go for proper info. Trevmac takes the fight against Fatal, is heavily lit up and finally finished off. Here's the trade attempt. It's successful from Jetcon, but he's got a Legion Mine stuck in his foot, slowing him down even further. And neither he nor Aimkey, they don't have case control. It's been dropped. Finally, he'll pick it up. Is he even going to get there in time? No! It was dropped outside by Trevmac. And our first 7-0 in E2 comes in our first playoff game. Alpha Atheris looking to make this a quick series.
In the words of a caster that I am with right now, this is the only map that Spacestation have a chance at winning. They have to hope that that's not the case, because if that's the only map they stand a chance at winning throughout this whole series, they may not win a single round. That is a very rough way to start your E2 playoffs experience, especially as a team that went 3-1 I know they talked about it in the pre-show. Some of the players on this roster weren't considered 3-1 caliber. They maybe were slept on through that Swiss stage, but it seems that Alpha Atheris put all the time that they needed to into preparing for this matchup, because my goodness, they look just about as prepared as any team ever has for any match that I've ever watched.
That was a super concerning start for SSGA, but we'll throw it back to the desk to digest that map and decide whether or not SSGA have a chance on any of the others.
Complete and utter dominance. In fact, the only 7-0 we've seen on any map so far this season, and Alpha Atheris, Connor, they made it look easy.
Yeah, and they made it look easy doing some fun stuff. They were bringing the Sens, the Blitz, the Glass. They were an exciting team that was just so incredibly explosive. And it was something that SSG Academy just could not just wrap their head around. Super. We talked about how a map like Chalet is very fast-paced, and maybe it will make SSG Academy speed things up, but it seems like they just got beat at Alpha Atheris' game.
Yeah, I mean, we alluded to it before the map even started, is you try to force your way into a map to force you to play fast because SSG Academy are a slow team, so maybe this speeds them up. The problem is that this is a fast-paced map. This is a map where it's a lot of aim duels, and that's what Alpha Atheris are known for. As we saw, you know, SSG Academy just didn't show up. I don't know if they had a certain game plan that just they weren't expecting or what happened, but it just, you know, losing your own map pick 7-0, it's a rough start to this match. I hope they have some strong mental because we know the real, you know, the main SSG team does. You know, we got to see what they do second map because this is, I'm worried.
This was so one-sided. I mean, we knew this was going to be Alpha Atheris potentially taking it, or at least the advantage here. But Connor, I don't even think we could have predicted this. I mean, through the first 5 rounds, or at least on round number 5, Alpha Atheris, they were winning 4-0, and SSG had a total of 5 kills. I mean, what are you supposed to do at that point?
Yeah, it's just kind of how much can you bounce back, especially because that was their own map choice. Now going into a Skyscraper that Alpha Atheris has been battle tested on against major quality teams with an SSG team that does not go to this map. It's an incredibly complicated map. It's going to be hard to get inside the building. And when you struggle to get inside the building on a map like Chalet, you can have a 4v2 with 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the clock and still not get the bomb into the diffuser, just either bomb site. It's really worrying.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't mean to call you both out, but you did say, and Connor, I'll stick with you for a moment, you did say that, oh, there's not going to be an execute phase, SSG aren't even going to get there. We saw, what, 5 plants from Alpha Atheris on their half?
Yeah, you know, me and Seth, and we both just completely forgot that, you know, the bomb doesn't have to go down in the last minute of the round. It can go down in the first minute of the round. That's exactly what Alpha Atheris were doing.
Yeah, you know, Alpha Atheris having the same amount of plants in the first half of this game as they did the entire tournament leading up to this point. It's a complete, you know, I'm sure it's a shell shock for SSG Academy. I hope they've got Jinxie ready to come in between maps because, you know, the team we just saw is not a team that can win map 2.
Well, how do you win map 2? If there's anything, Connor, what are you supposed to do to stop them?
You know, I really hope that what TrevMac was talking about in that content, Pete, was where the gap ideology, where hey, we've researched this team a lot and we know exactly how they play. They play very isolated positions on their defensive side, and we can isolate them out and take those 2v1 gunfights. Unfortunately, on Chalet, they weren't winning those gunfights. Maybe on Skyscraper, things can change, especially because we know there is a good amount of VOD footage of this Alpha Atheris team on this map of Skyscraper. Meanwhile, the opposite for SSG is that we don't know what they're going to bring to this map, and maybe that can be an advantage.
Well, they now have the tall task of bouncing back on their opponent's map pick. We go to Skyscraper to find out if they can do exactly that.
Welcome back to the caster booth, as we are, in fact, headed to Skyscraper, a map that, at least this season, we haven't seen either team on. So Alpha Atheris with a bold decision to pick into this map over a couple of maps that they have played and have won before. They could have gone to, maybe like a bank that they didn't end up going to. Oregon ended up being our map 3. They could have picked into it here. Instead, they feel like they have something cooking on Skyscraper. Crow, what do you think they've got going? And do you think SSG stands a chance after that last map?
I don't know, because clearly Alpha Atheris are confident on this map. They've only banned it once. I think it was their very first game in E2. They felt confident enough to bring it internationally. I mean, they didn't win. They felt good about it, good enough about it to bring it against the main SSG team at the major, as the desk had already mentioned before. SSGA, they were slow on Chalet. They'll probably be slower on Skyscraper. It is a notoriously hard map to get a foothold inside the building itself on, right? We see it teams all the time when attacking T, when attacking Office, and when they're attacking T, teams all the time, they stall out on the top black door, outside Geisha, etc. When they're attacking Office, they stall outside the breach, they stall outside VIP. SSGA, I think, are going to really have to rely on those full map overtakes, which again, Alpha Atheris are going to be super prepared for.
They're also probably going to get really aggressive in those as well. If the one defensive round we saw from them was any indication, there was a very early run out from Aki Biel, but then after that, they did start to chill. They played as forward as they possibly could until SSG started to flush them out. And SSG weren't flushing them out quickly enough to get kills while anybody was rotating back. They weren't holding any of their rotates, which is something you can play to your advantage on Skyscraper when it comes to those second floor roams. There's a window in Terrace and there's a window in Shrine, so anyone who's trying to rotate back on either side of the top floor, you can cut them off well, but you need to have people stationed at those cutoffs. And from Chalet and what we saw in there, it didn't look like Spacestation were doing that so much. So they need to start to prepare players on those cutoff angles and let 2 or 3 on their own try and force the roam clear out. But in order to do that, you also have to start winning more of your gunfights. The other team isn't going to be scared of you if they know they can just win any fight with anybody who chooses to swing them. So at this point, it feels like, what can SSG do to kind of force Alpha Atheris to give them that respect? Because without it, this is going to be a very hard attacking half for Spacestation.
Yeah, but while we sit on that, let that marinate. We're going to take a quick break. We had a player disconnect, so we're just waiting for them to get their butts back in the lobbies. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with map 2 just after this.
Welcome back for map number 2, and it seems that the social predictions have completely switched. It was SSG Academy up 51 to 49% in terms of how likely everybody thought it was for one team to win this next map over the other. Now it's 65% in favor of Alpha Atheris. Big switch, and it makes sense because it was quite the opinion swayer of a last map. If you thought SSG Academy were looking good or Alpha Atheris weren't, safe to say your opinions have changed at least to some degree after that 7-0 on Spacestation's pick.
SSG Academy, they do not want to worry about that any further. Make Alpha Atheris' rush plays a little less potent, I guess, because I guarantee there's still going to be at least one rush once they start attacking.
I think they only used Blitz like twice anyways, so...
Yeah, they used Blitz. They used him on round 3. Oh, that was it. Huh. They only used him on round 3. I could have sworn they used him more. I mean, they still rushed more times than that anyway. I was going to talk about the defensive bans. They can be quite varied on Skyscraper. We see a lot of Valkyrie bans, a lot of Mira bans. Tubarão has since come into the fray considering how hard breach-centric this map is, and Tubarão is our final defensive ban after the Solus. So, Solus being taken out on both maps thus far, but... we have arguably just as annoying of an operator now available, Happy, especially on Skyscraper with how many corridors there are, and that's Fenrir. Not going to be played just yet from SSG Academy, and honestly, even though it's just round 1, I really question that decision. The perfect operator to slow down a rush and deny fast entries is Fenrir. Why would SSG not pounce on that opportunity?
I mean, sometimes your initial strat doesn't have an operator in there, so maybe you don't even realize that you're missing out something. He's so commonly banned that when he's left up, if you'd had a strat that didn't initially have space allotted for a Fenrir, maybe you just forget that you could bring him. Now, I do agree with you, but I think it'd be a much better strategy if they did bring him, and I'm disappointed to see that he's not here. However, Alpha Atheris will not be, because as you had mentioned, he's very annoying, very frustrated. Also worth noting, nobody going to be surprised that Solus is not here, as both of these teams have banned Solus every game. They themselves have been the ones to ban Solus. I'm fairly certain in literally every map they've played this season, so makes sense on Sky, especially because it's so small. Just a couple of steps in a couple different rooms, and you can see any drone anywhere on the map. But for now, 30 seconds in, already 3 drones gone on the Alpha Atheris side, so maybe the lack of info could be the difference maker and could be what gets SSG on the board for the first time all series.
We're starting things off for Alpha Atheris on the Geisha side of things. Thatcher has also been left up, and that means he'll probably be brought most rounds on the attack considering how good operators like Bandit and Cade are here. Toski is setting up on the platform outside karaoke window, getting ready to send himself on into the bomb site while Alpha Atheris take him through Geisha, take him through top black, and here we go. In he comes, downs Jetcon with the shotgun, doesn't even worry about the finisher, he's looking for more, he gets the mute in the bomb site, and Toski is on a roll. Finally, he'll be shut down, but the plant is being completed by Fatal. The man advantage is in Alpha Atheris' favor. It'll be completed, and on this bomb site, when it's planted in karaoke, a win for the defense is almost impossible. Now it's all on Villain, a 1 versus 3. He has to challenge the 2 attackers still in the building, and then he has to kill Fatal, who's outside on Repel, and it won't even come to that. Ivan will finish things quickly, and it's yet another flawless attack from Alpha Atheris.
Just putting on a clinic on how to get into the building as efficiently as possible. It must just be some kind of killer instinct, right? Because this is a map we haven't seen Spacestation Academy on with this iteration of their roster ever. With this 5-man all season, they haven't picked it once, but they still somehow just intrinsically know where the gaps are. They know where to make their entries to be as effective as possible. And it is just an insane ability to just not even really spot, just know what the gaps are in the defense. And again, they'll come back, effectively same comp, same strategy, not too much being changed. No Fenrir again, after a rush like that, where you'd have to imagine he would have made it much harder for anyone on the attack to see and shoot the defenders on SSG Academy, and also much easier for SSGA to know where those entries were coming from. So still not seeing him brought in after that big round 1 loss. I don't know, I'm a little disappointed, and it seems to be a similar strategy with the Mati coming out. It'll probably be another... Oh, okay, yeah. Last time I mentioned an attacker being picked before it's over.
Rookie mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I still do it too. It's so annoying. But again, you know, Fender not being taken. I mean, especially with Ying being played. I mean, she's not being played right now, but you would think maybe okay if Ying was going top black, sit warded behind the shield on the rotate with a Fenrir on the door, have a Fenrir on the window, just in case, like prepped and ready. I don't know.
Yeah.
SSG Academy. You know, ever since they were in search mode on Chalet, haven't done a great job of adapting so far. But who knows, maybe when they run things back, you know, this roam will work out. Alpha Atheris are starting on the office side. It is a completely different look on this attack that SSG Academy are looking to be ready for. Ivan is already deep in the building in VIP and is cut down by Trevmac as he crosses the doorway. An opening pick for SSG Academy to shut down Alpha Atheris' most aggressive player.
You can see how good SSG actually are at dealing with these Alpha Atheris pushes when they kind of know what to anticipate. And I know that seems like a bit cheap, like, oh, when you know what the other team's gonna do, you can deal with it well. But SSG clearly thrown off this game, mostly just by not knowing what Alpha Atheris are going to do. Alpha Atheris again able to get another kill, as it's Mutombo trading this back on a focal. So even when SSG opened the round, much like what happened last map, when they would find round openers, there are consistent trades from the attackers, and it's just so hard for them to get a proper advantage. But now they have good positions here. They just need to hold off this Alpha Atheris roam clear.
Still worrying about the stun grenades, attempting to burn his shield. Toski is just going to run right up off of it before it's even destroyed. Mutombo, the follow-up kill onto Aimkey. He's now got 2 all the way from Drum. SSG Academy, they're losing players and they've lost the man advantage now with about a minute remaining. Toski is just going to continue to hold close until that Omai gets distracted. Vil may have just spotted him with Toski face checking there, so continuing to take this gunfight. I think he's probably already used his Gone 6. Vil is going to swing out. Wow, that was a daring play. As Trevmac gets his 3rd, the round is now over. Trevmac stepping up huge after having a pretty atrocious map 1 is good to see to get SSG Academy their first point in the series.
Alpha Atheris without any of their signature spanners in the works, without any of their known kind of, or not known, but unknown plays that they are known to do so often. It was something they did really well against Karn & Co. in their last game of the Swiss stage. Ivan in particular was entering in so many different spots. He would lurk up Marble for a top floor defense. He would enter in Garage for maybe an open attack, or rather an open defense. It's just, they did so many things that were unusual, unexpected by the Carnage and Company, I guess that's what I'm saying, by the Carnage and Company defense, that it just worked well. And last map, we saw the whole team kind of do what Spacestation weren't expecting. With that round, very traditional attack. You saw nothing that was too out of the ordinary, and you saw Spacestation Academy win it, and I would say they passed that test with flying colors. They had 3 players left alive, and for a team that struggled to even kill 3 players on the other team in many rounds last map, I think that's a sign of good things to come on Skyscraper, especially compared to Chalet.
Absolutely. SSG kind of forcing Alpha Atheris to play the standard game. That's where SSGA thrives, so we'll see if they can continue to do that. Alpha Atheris with another pretty standard lineup here, rocking the Flores, making sure that, yeah, those shields are going to be no more. The Ying, of course, that is wherever the Ying goes, JetCon needs to be, as he's really the only person that's going to be able to counter her. Now on offense, the main crux of this attack is going to be Fatal. Whether or not he's going to be whether or not he's, 1, going to be able to open the walls at all, and 2, how quickly he's going to be able to. Or they're just going to leave it soft.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, they left part of it open. That's a strat you'll see teams do. They open footholes on that main office wall so you can try and watch or run by, and there's nothing the attackers can do. But any kind of soft breaching makes that much, much harder or at least any kind of soft breaching being on that attacking side, makes it much harder to run that strat to any effect. They're just burning through with Terror drones, with leaving this wall soft and more Kivas being thrown at it by Aimkey. They have more than enough for Terros to deal with this, and seemingly the other Kivas that will be in the round as well. And now Fatal's gonna fully open up this wall. So many positions being exposed here by Spacestation. It's only a matter of time until they get Aimkey down, and Matumbo, upside down rappel, will find our first kill.
Did they kill him? I think it was over the table. So
I think that was it, yeah.
that must have been a slim angle. Matumbo was able to get that kill on. Aimkey didn't even know what hit him there. TrevMax safe behind this reinforcement, has to be very careful as he now starts to swing out to try and watch this breach, but the Incandelas are aiding Ivan and the rest of his team in inserting themselves into this bomb site. Ivan taking the fight against the Warden. Jetcon will die, killed off screen by Fatal. Vil with one for his team as Ivan and Akabil are down on the floor. It's effectively now a 2 versus 2. TrevMax able to escape into Terror's the head, the animation preventing the Thermite from getting the finisher, and it's way too dangerous for Atheris to go for any of these pickups, at least until Akano escapes the building, but is very quickly felled by the runout. 2 kills for SSGA to put themselves in the 2v1. Looking to now double their points in this series thus far. So much info being fed to this defense. Vil with 3 kills to follow TrevMax's own last round. And it's 2-1. SSGA with a lead.
You talked about how Fenrir is so good on this map because of all the slim corridors. Well, those same slim corridors working very strongly against Alpha Atheris in a more direct take, but what I would say is their most telegraphed direct take they've done yet. They gave plenty of time for Spacestation to all focus their eyes on the right area. The few lurkers they did have died on their attempts at making an impact, and the guys who got into the site were able to get one. At one point, like 7 people were downed all at the same time, but eventually a lot of them from SSG got picked up, and Ivan didn't get picked up for Alpha Atheris, so it made a big difference there. But SSG kind of just knew what to expect. Even though it was a more unexpected play at the start of the round, Alpha Atheris just allowed too much time. You could see everyone got caught up in Samurai, pulling a Goo Mine out of your foot, waiting for the opportunity to get a really good swing, just waiting for your teammates to also sync up the timing. Something was a little off there from Alpha Atheris, and they struggled immensely in that round. SSG with their first lead of the series as a result.
You gotta feel bad for Fatal too with TrevMax's head
that was
behind
so
the doorway
sad.
because of the animation, which ended up, you know, working in SSG's favor because after getting picked up, TrevMax got a kill. And the person who rezzed him died. So that could have been a round-changing animation.
That was a great
I guess
script.
you could say.
Whoever
Yeah,
wrote
that
that
was
one,
a-
great round. Great. We weren't supposed to. We weren't supposed to tell them it was scripted. Oh, I messed up. I messed up.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
I'm stupid. Yeah. Anyways.
I hate this guy. By the way, we're on bedroom, bathroom. We haven't mentioned that just yet. Typically, the tertiary side is barbecue because you hold it kind of like you hold tea. You don't really hold tea. You mainly put stuff in geisha, and it's pretty hard for the attack to take, and that works out really well. Bedroom is much harder. The attack is right next to the site pretty much at all times. Delivery is pretty easy to take, and Office and Exhibition easier to take than tea and geisha. And as we begin the top floor clear, EMP goes off. Fatal is going to be able to open up that wall. Now Aimkey's starting to feel the pressure, but he lands a beautiful headshot to finally shut down Matumbo on the entry.
No reticle either. Doesn't need it. Matumbo countered him with his EMP, made the fight somewhat easier for himself, but doesn't even do any damage. And you mentioned it's hard to hold that upstairs area, but it seems that SSG have all the right things in all the right places. Aki Beals barely missed that kill opportunity as well, seemingly given another chance, but instead Focal swings his teammate, and now Aimkey's got 3. It's all falling apart, and it's just left to Toski. Alpha Atheris try to go a little faster than maybe Spacestation expected, but it seems this map, everything anticipated out of this Alpha Atheris attack, and now Toski on the Ash left at basically 1 HP. 1 or 2 shots from any gun in the game from any range should be enough to get the kill, but at this point, try and get your kills yourself, give your team some time to talk things over, and Aimkey's going to finish things off with a 4th kill for himself as SSG look revitalized through these last 3 rounds.
This is what we were missing from map 1. SSG Academy are always in the vicinity of the site. When we saw them on Chalet, they kept getting cut off, either trying to rotate back or Alpha Atheris would be bam in on the site and the roamers were across the map. Now SSG Academy are playing much closer to the chest. It's a lot easier to do that on Skyscraper than it is on Chalet. Chalet really relies on a lot of that map control, but on Skyscraper, where so many of these executes come from directly outside of the building, you can play that turtle style of defense that SSGA likes so much a lot easier on Sky, and it's working out well. Alpha Atheris, it's not that they haven't been able to create an opportunity to lurk. It's that they haven't really tried yet, and I'm really surprised. Because something that's been consistent throughout their play on every map that they've played so far, they've played, they've played Clubhouse. I mean, they lost it. They played Oregon, Bank. They've gone for these lurk plays. We have not seen that at all on Skyscraper, and I'm sure SSG Academy are very happy about that.
I mean, on some maps even, with the notes that I was taking, I had a whole subsection for, like, the different lurks that Ivan does. And then there were some that, like, Akibil would do. They would both get involved. That typically does happen, though, on those bigger maps. Like, Bank was a big one, and it is a big map. So, it makes sense to, on a smaller map like Skyscraper, they aren't doing it as much, but I think you're totally right. To not even see them try it at all is a little bit confusing, and definitely not what we were anticipating. Maybe they'll go for some here, but with where Ivan's lining up, with where the whole team's lining up, it seems to be another just full frontal roam clear from Alpha Atheris. Something that they aren't bad at, but something that Spacestation are very good at. So maybe not what they want to go for, but they're not really throwing too many spanners in the works here. They're not trying to change things up too extremely, and we'll have to see if it actually works this time or if Spacestation are ready for it again.
That was also a nice spot on the bulletproof cam to shoot the Flores drone, the Rotero. Make Toski a little less useful here. Something else that was missing from Chalet was SSGA's firepower. It has really come back. I don't know if maybe they, like you said, they had to shake off some rust after the break, but the rust is certainly gone. The Fender is also in play from Focal, something that we were missing before, but TrevMac goes for an aggressive swing, and it does not work out in his favor. The smoke is our first casualty of the round about halfway through. That's someone you would like to have had still up by the time Alpha Atheris get to their execute.
Alpha Atheris picking a lot of different angles to apply pressure from this round as well. They're not just going for that straight-up roam clear. You can already see people putting pressure at Geisha, putting pressure at top black. Yeah, that impact was just insane. That was like a juiced impact or something, maybe two at the same time. I don't know, but I've never seen an impact nade do that much damage. So Alpha Atheris trying to, spice things up and take up some different angles, but now it's time to go for the push right into the roam game, but Aimkey again, able to start things off strong and bring us back to 4-on-4.
Expecting the sprint by after Akabil threw the ace charge to destroy his Kiba barrier. Now he's able to fall back. Another for Aimkey as he is lighting up the scoreboard on Skyscraper, now double positive. And a 4v3 for his team, reclaiming that man advantage that TrevMac had forfeited about halfway into the round, about a minute ago now. Still on the main stairs, facing down Toski. I don't know if there's anyone holding the crossfire from Geisha split. I think there is. Actually, Toski is firing at, and that's going to prompt Aimkey to get a little bit aggressive. We've got to keep our eye on these fenders and whether or not they're going to go off. 3 kills now for Aimkey. Another. Can he make it the ace? Yes! Aimkey! What a play! Coming off of last map, going 4-6, now starting this one. I believe now 9-3, maybe even 10-3. There we go, 9-3, 4-1 for SSGA.
Crow, I think it's working. I think you know what I mean by that.
Is it?
I think it's working.
It might be.
It may be working.
Especially that it's Aimkey doing this too.
No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, Aimkey was talking to Crow and I on Twitter, and I'll just say he told us that because we voted against him, I'll just say that he said he was going to lock in today. I'll just say that. And he absolutely has been. I mean, last map, a little bit of a slow start, but it was a slow start for the whole team, and Alpha Atheris brought a lot into the fray that wasn't to be expected, but now we're seeing SSG in their absolutely in the right spot, just in their comfort zone. They know what is coming from Alpha Atheris. and they know every single angle to expect. Alpha Atheris consistently falling at the first hurdle. Aimkey is always out in these front position, out in the front of the battle. He's in these sort of front court positions. He's playing as far up in terms of press defense as anybody is playing on Space Station, and he's consistently getting multi-kills. Alpha Atheris not able to get by the first player, let alone the rest of the SSG roam game / extension. They've got to do something to switch it up, or else they run the risk of going down 5-1 and nearly being flawless in the opening half of the second map after they did that to Space Station to start off the first map.
What a comeback it's been for SSGA so far, but they're not out of the woods just yet, Happy, because they still have to attack themselves. They can start as brilliantly as they want to. It's all going to come down to that second half and whether or not they're even going to be able to get in the building with more than 30 seconds left. Alpha Atheris, you know why they haven't been successful, have at least been able to get in and start their execute phase. Fatal already going to open up that VIP wall about 45 seconds into the round and now turn his attention over towards the office wall. There is bandit batteries in play. No, he is. He is actively tricking. So someone's going to have to go down below. It looks like it's going to be Akabil, who almost dies, but at the very least, does force Phil off the bandit train.
And control taken by the book, but he is going to die eventually. And who but Aimkey, the Grim Reaper, these last 3 rounds to start things off again in his own team's favor. Toski's going to trade that out with a solid frag onto Aimkey himself. So finally this time they are able to clear that first hurdle, though they did trip out over it just a little bit. Didn't forfeit right after. Focal, though, retaking that space downstairs. Will he be expected here? Seemingly not, but Alpha Atheris don't seem to be focusing on it too heavily, at least until now. I've been droning him into that bedroom bathroom area, and this is more than halfway through. To not have firm control of the downstairs area at this point in the round may be a little bit of a bad sign. They're trying to catch Focal on his rotate out, but if he just chooses to sit in here, he's going to waste a lot of time and maybe even get some more kills, and he's done just that by killing the Zofia.
I don't know how he gets away with 2 there. I was going to say 1, and then Ivan ends up dying as well. Finally, he sprints into the waiting arms of Matumbo, but it's a 3v2. Fatal still outside, Matumbo downstairs. The last 2 attackers very separated. D4 to go out, not going to destroy anything. Black Eye now dealt with. Matumbo has to now come join Fatal. Both players will be on the balcony just outside the office breach. Vil is still hiding behind the table. I think JetCon has a long angle onto the breach from outside Dragon. Flash is coming in. Vil's going to be full blind. This is all on JetCon, but he ends up going down. Now it's all on Trevmac, who's holding the crossfire. It's good for 1, and Vil pops up after the flash subsides for the second. A 5-1 half for SSGA, turning the result from map 1 on its head on Skyscraper.
Getting more and more confused as to why Alpha Atheris picked into this map of everything in the pool. I talked at length, I guess I could even say. Maybe one could even say ad nauseum, too much, about how good their lurks are and how effective they are at taking space quickly on very big maps, like a bank or like a Nighthaven Labs, for example. And then they pick into one of the smaller ones in the pool that's known for having a lot of small corridors that are very hard to make advances through, and it's very hard to catch the other team off guard, especially on a site like Exhibition and Office. They had someone watching every possible angle, Space Station did, and when that's a situation that Space Station Academy find themselves in, it's not a situation where you're likely going to get a big win. Now, we are seeing Space Station switch over to the attacking side instead, which is going to be a big switch because we talked so much about how slow this map can be for the attackers, and it even saw it apply to Alpha Atheris, who are on average, I believe, the fastest attacking team in the league. So now to see, on average, the slowest attacking team in the league try and tackle the same exact map, I think there's a good chance we could just be looking at a very defender-sided Skyscraper, which makes sense given the map's pedigree. But man, this is a very disappointing start for Alpha Atheris, and I don't think this map truly plays into their strengths to the extent that some of the other maps they could have picked into do.
Yeah, I'm still confused by the bank ban. they destroyed Karn & Co on this map. And this was Karn & Co's favorite map.
They
are
7-1'd two
warlords.
teams. They 7-1'd Ariel and Dilemma, who both made the playoffs.
Yeah, and they beat Karn & Co 7-4. I don't know why they would ban. I guess maybe they're like, okay, all right, we've played it a lot, so SSG are going to have info on it. Maybe that was the...
Even then, Sky?
That was the thought process.
I feel like Sky's... I don't know.
Yeah, especially with SSG ACAD not really liking Bank. I mean, they've banned it 6 times in their last 10 games. I think, not including this one. They lost it pretty dominantly to CLB. So the Skyscraper pick, almost like concerningly out of nowhere from Alpha Atheris. Hey, we're right to be concerned. They're down 1-5, but like we already mentioned, about halfway through the first half, it's all going to come down to SSGA's attacks. Can they do better than Alpha Atheris being a slower team? And seeing how Alpha Atheris played, I'm going to say maybe, because Alpha Atheris still tried to play with a similar speed to which they play other maps, just without the lurk and pushing directly into what were essentially bunker setups. And really hard to break bunker setups because of the Skyscraper. SSGA, I think, because they're so slow and methodical, the rounds are going to come down to the wire, but I think they'll be able to win. I think they'll be able to take this before it goes to OT. I think it's probably going to end up being like a 7-5, 7-4 or something. It's not going to be easy, but I think they can take it.
Bomb located by attackers.
Well, it's got to start here for Alpha Atheris if they're looking to, at the very least, push this to OT, let alone take it in regulation. You'd have to go through a full site rotation before many people are convinced that's even a possibility on the table. But for Space Station, I do think you're right in saying they should be okay because, yes, they are a slow attacking team. Not going to be sped up anymore by bringing a focal on the Maverick this round, as having to Mav trick the walls you want to open will take even more time. But thanks to the confidence you see on players like Aimkey, like Vil, that is a dynamic, deadly duo. When they are feeling good, and they've got to feel on top of the world, right? Vil only dying once, has 6 kills, and Aimkey has had a number of rounds where he has been the sole reason why SSG plays so well. And so I think that, though they may be playing slow, if they get that info like they are so good at getting consistently for their entries, I think the gunfights will go well enough to the point where 1 or 2 of these rounds should sway SSG's way, like you had also foreseen. But for now, just trying to get Geisha Wall open to start this round off relatively quickly.
Yeah, this is typically why we see the Maverick come out, because Cade and Bandit are incredibly annoying to deal with on that Geisha Wall, and that's also why we have the double up of the Ashe and the Zofia, so they have some redundancy after they're forced to use their utility, finishing the Mav trick. So, Geisha already open just a minute into the round, but nobody on the attack actually playing outside of it. It is a nice drone. They've also got a drone on the smoke. Wow. Who could very easily fall victim to someone like JetCon if he wants to decide to go to the bathroom. Finally, he'll get a shot out. But again, they open the Geisha Wall and then they're like, all right, job's done. And now they're by office.
They haven't even entered office side yet either. I like Aimkey being set up on Shrine window, but that's not really going to get you so much. That's kind of good for watching if people are falling back, but Vil's not even in the building yet, and he's playing Ashe. Of course he's going to be your primary entry. So that shows that maybe they're taking too long. They're not making the quick presence that they need to. And again, we've talked about that ad nauseum.
What?
What do you mean?
Did you see that?
Oh yeah, the Twitch drone. I assumed it was just like a visual bug or something. I think some of the drones we've been watching this game have just been like, in the wrong spots. Like that one time where we were watching Akibil drone, he was just looking at a couch. You remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
true.
I think it's just a visual bug. Aimkey's killed Matumba. 45 seconds.
He has. That's smoke. And that's the Black Stairs player dead. That is a huge pick. And with Fatal now dead, it's a 5v3. In they come. Vil a second onto that Geisha player. A third for Vil. Looking for the last one with his pistol out. It's all on Ivan, but JetCon will make it flawless. And just like that, it is a 6-1 lead for SSGA.
I mean, we talked so much about how Alpha Atheris are good at making unexpected entries. Tell me how SSG are just in the building and I had no clue they were going to do that. That's the kind of power we needed to see Alpha Atheris harness on their defenses. Or rather, on their attacks. But they've just been beaten by the same formula they use themselves. And we were talking about how SSG, you know, it'll be tough, but maybe they'll struggle out 1 or 2 rounds and take this one in a close barn burner to send us to map 3. They won the first attack, and they won it flawlessly. Alpha Atheris had nothing going for them on defense. Was the map ban graphic confused or something? I mean, both of these teams picking into maps, SSG pick into a map where they get 0 rounds, and Skyscraper is the map that Alpha Atheris pick into, and so far, even with their first defensive round down, they only have 1 round win. And also, I do want to just say, we do know for a fact that it wasn't a mess up on the map ban graphic, because the map ban website that we use also has this as the map ban. So it's just a very strange, bizarro series to start us off for the playoffs, and you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, nothing we like better than a close series, you know?
Wait, is this close?
I mean, it's two dominant maps to make it a close series in terms of map wins.
It's close in its own way.
Yeah, it's one interpretation of the word close. Alpha Atheris are going to try desperately to win this attack now on Office. They do not want to mess with T again. They've got this Valkyrie just like SSGA did. Fatal is trying to find the perfect shield position, and Toski finds aim key. The leader for SSGA right now when it comes to kills is our first casualty. The round's not over yet. We've still got Vil. He's only died once in that very first round. He's 9-1, so he's doing pretty well for himself too. JetCon is waiting very patiently. Almost lets the kill. There it is, through the wall. Akabil decides to continue fighting, and it's to his detriment. What was a man advantage is now equalized. I mean, Ace is going to hurt. Like, that's your only hard breacher. That kind of sucks. You do get a C4 for it. There's still 2 more. And there's still this guy upstairs. How has Matumbo not killed him? Finally, he gets the buck through the floor. But JetCon, because he was allowed to live, was able to nab a kill before he died. So he just trades himself out.
And they killed Toski with that, which means Ivan is still downstairs. Yellow Ping's on his position, but he's still getting kills. Caught by Focal, though, running away, and Alpha Atheris are turning this into a comedy skit downstairs. Who's in bathroom? What's on connector? I don't know, but somehow Spacestation are able to trade it out to go for an even 2-2. And so now, with half the round to go, most of the lobby is dead, and SSG are calling for a reset to try and take this from a different angle. TrevMac and Focal are hopefully gonna team up together, play this alongside one another, go for a full map clear, and now Alpha Atheris have all the time in the world to adjust.
They still have plenty of drones and utility too, so this is very winnable, but this C4 could be a round winner if SSG Academy end up walking right over it, and if Matumbo's timing is good enough. But like I said, the info came out from TrevMac, he had drones, and he still got 4 shots from his Hive launcher. Vulcan himself still has some utility as well. That stun could provide himself info. Still got 2 impacts to help open walls. There's the stun, so now they know Fatal is over towards Cups somewhere, and they've got info on Matumbo. Heat from Fatal does not work just yet, but the crossfire does. Focal goes down. TrevMac trades. The C4 is gone, and now we're down to a 1 versus 1. More info attempting to come out from TrevMac, but he'll get shot in the side. Fatal lights him up, but TrevMac wins the fight anyway! Let it come down to Trevor to win the 1v1, and SSGA are back in the game.
Back, and in a big way. As back as anybody's ever been before. And we are only 2 maps into the playoffs, with 1 left to go in this series, and then a whole best of 3 after that. Spacestation Gaming Academy make mincemeat of the Mexican side on their own map pick, and what a way to do it. As in that last round, Alpha Atheris tried the most to make SSG as uncomfortable as possible everywhere they tried to make entry, but just so much info for Spacestation Academy. I mean, for a team who's running mute and bans Solus all the time, you'd expect there to be some kind of measure in place to deal with the drones when they're playing on the defensive side. But we saw so many yellow pings that whole half from Spacestation Academy, and the guns really did come back to life as they absolutely needed to. So SSG sent us to map number 3, and it's anybody's guess who's going to take control on Oregon.
Yeah, two complete opposite maps, really, from maps 1 and 2. And we, of course, are going to go to a quick break of the players' arrest. And when we come back, we'll have the desk to break it down for us.
When the going got tough, SSG, well, they certainly got going. Talk about responding in a big way to an absolute map 1 destruction that Alpha Atheris unleashed. They come back on Skyscraper, not only picking up their first round of the night, but going on to pick up their first 7 rounds of the night and shutting out Alpha Atheris before any sort of response could be made, Connor.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that you saw the first round, the first attack of Alpha Atheris. I almost walked away from my computer thinking, oh yeah, this is just going to be over. It's done once again. But SSG Academy, so much resiliency in the way they played and adapted once again, using the terrain of this map and the plethora of just crossfire angles that you can establish to really make it so, you know, Alpha Atheris couldn't really do anything. They couldn't get aggressive in the way that they wanted to, and they was ultimately punished.
Yeah, I think resiliency is the name of the game there, you know, to lose your own map 7-0 and then come back and 7-1 the team on the second map. It kind of reminds you of, you know, the SSG main roster, where they're kind of known for no matter what happens, they kind of always fight back. They don't give up. And, you know, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but that's what we just saw from SSG Academy here.
I like the way you put it during the break, Super. I think it was you said, you need to pay attention to Aimkey. There's nothing he can't do. And I think we saw that, and everyone saw his true potential really unleashed, especially on this second map.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think initially when I said that, I was, you know, kind of joking a little bit, but then it, you know, right as I said that, he aced, I think. So we'll just go with that and say that I'm a genius. But yeah, the truth is that it was just the SSG Academy that we saw on map 2 was not the same as map 1, and the Alpha Atheris that we saw on map 2 is not the same as map 1. And so that brings us into this map 3, where it's like, well, now I don't really know what to expect, because map 1 played out how like we thought. Map 2 turned everything upside down. We head into a map like Oregon, where it's very, you know, it's kind of default. Everyone knows how to play it, really. What's going to happen here?
Right, Connor, how would we approach this from a prediction perspective? We saw Chalet, we saw how one-sided that could be, and Skyscraper, very different map from both Chalet and Oregon. We saw how SSG were able to respond to that. On Oregon, are we going to see Skyscraper again, or is it going to feel a lot like map 1? How do we figure that out?
I think with how Oregon has progressed as a map, it's gone, like we were just saying, a little bit more default. It's a little bit more found out of a map. So it's almost lending itself slightly more towards the Chalet side, as opposed to Skyscraper being so large and so complex. So if we're kind of going down and simplifying the game to its basic elements of, you know, just trading and gunfights, Oregon, I think, is going to lean more towards Alpha Atheris, and hopefully they can bounce back.
I mean, they'll need quite a response. I mean, yes, they went up 7-0 and they started things off well, but then, I mean, how do you get the mental game back on point? I mean, maybe Super Alpha Atheris have to take a page out of SSG's book.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great question, right? Is we already saw SSG can handle a, you know, kind of just an ass kicking, really, and bounce back. Can Alpha Atheris do the same? We talked about it coming into this match in terms of experience, in terms of talent, in terms of, you know, Alpha Atheris are technically a pro league team in Mexico, right? So you would think that a team that makes a major, a loss like that doesn't get to them. But we also said that Alpha Atheris came into this with the pressure to win. They're expected to, honestly, in my opinion, at least make the finals of Element 2, given, you know, as we said, they're a major. They literally made the Atlanta major. You just lost 7-1 on your own map pick. Does that kind of get in your head? Is there arguments on the team? What's going on? Because it's just, you know, they lost to SSG at the major. If they can't beat SSG's Academy team, what does that say about them? What does it say about the region? You know, Alpha Atheris got to stand up here for the MX region and kind of shut this down.
Well, a lot to prove, and well, now both teams, we are back to even keel. Let's see what they have for us. Back to Crow and Happy for the final map of this first series.
Number 3, map the third, and maybe we weren't expecting to get here. I know the desk tossed about how they were specifically anticipating a 2-0 series in favor of Alpha Atheris. You watch that first game, you think that's absolutely what's coming, and then totally blindsided by Skyscraper from Spacestation Academy, and now it's just up to Oregon. Two teams that have dominated on two different maps. What on earth happens here?
I have no idea.
I don't either. I was hoping you would.
Now, it is Oregon. Unlike Skyscraper, Alpha Atheris have actually played this map, and they looked good on it. They beat Karn & Co. 7-5, right? And beating Karn & Co. is no easy feat. They won, you know, being as they won Element 1. They're our current T2 champions. Fans coming in once again. Blitz is off the board. Goodbye, Blitz. A very good operator on Oregon, too. So we've already seen Alpha Atheris like the Blitz. He's real good on Oregon. Take him away. Ying. Both teams liked the Ying on Skyscraper. Alpha Atheris want nothing to do with it here. And finally, for the first time tonight, Azami will join Solus in the ban corner, which means Mira is up. Tubarao is up. Fenrir is up.
Yeah, that basement site may not be winnable for the attacking team. I'm going to be totally honest with you. That is a death stack if you bring a Kaid with it as well. However, we're not seeing a Kaid. We're not seeing a Tubarão. We're not even seeing a Mira to start off the basement objective. We are, in fact, seeing the Fenrir. Only reason I could perhaps see for this kind of logic being brought is that you're expecting much more of a backside take out of Alpha Atheris. And if you are expecting such a take from them, then you can afford to maybe forego the Mira if you know it's not going to be laundry side to bring someone like a Wamai or a Warden, who we know is going to help a lot with holding that pillar area if you're playing it to flashbangs, playing it to smoke grenades, because they're both going to deny a lot of that utility. That's the only real logic that I could see behind this decision on part of the defense. And, you know, on paper, it does kind of hold a little bit, because they have typically been going for those backside takes when it comes to Oregon, when it comes to this specific bomb site. They do enjoy going for that E-box side push, but even again, it feels like you're missing something by not bringing the Mira. Would have appreciated to see that in the composition.
Yeah, Mira, though, you know, as you mentioned, good. Not necessary, though. I think SSGA are probably just playing like they started off on Skyscraper, right? Not bring the Fender and then taking the Fender later on. If they decide they need the Mira, they'll probably swap to it. They were a lot better when it came to adjusting in the latter half of Skyscraper. Much better than they looked on Chalet. Trevmac, Mr. Trevor, is currently ratting in Attic, and I don't think Alpha Atheris have any idea that he's there. Now, Alpha Atheris' drone network so far through this series has been pretty good. Even on Skyscraper, their drone network was pretty good. They just couldn't act off of it. Are there going to be necessary flank drones to stop Trevmac? I think that drone was looking the other way. I think he was like following the drone. So I don't think they know he's there still.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with expediting these roam clears the way that Alpha Atheris do, is that sometimes you leave yourself open to flanks, and Trevmac walking down white stairs is about to come up on a gold mine of flankable attackers as he moves in towards server.
It's on the cusp of getting the first pick. However, if he just gets a pick and dies, it's almost like it never happened. He wants to turn this into a cascade to make this round to win, and that's why he's looking for a very specific opportunity, and he might have just found it, spawning the Hibana get on drone and promptly leaving. A brilliant first pick for Trevmac, and now the attack has to worry about him, and he'll land a second. Exactly what the Goyo was looking for. 5v3 now for SSGA, and Alpha Atheris are forced to try and execute into the bomb site. A shotgun will put Ivan into the dirt. Toski now 1 HP, he's gone. It's all up to Akabil, and it's flawless for SSGA.
I don't think you could have been more prepared for that specific attack if you had 3 weeks to put into it, which is coincidentally how long SSG Academy had to prepare for this game. Just over 3 weeks, considering that they were one of the earlier teams to advance. But that was just an outstanding preparation. You watch the game against Karn & Co., you know they're big fans of chucking a lot of utility down that E-box hatch, so you bring the Warden and you bring the Wamai, both of those, to try and deal with that util dump that is then followed by a push in towards that pillar area. You know they like to go for quick roam clears. They may not always dot their I's and cross their T's. They may just assume that whoever they're writing that letter to knows what they were getting at. But SSG are fully ready to get there to take advantage of it. In that case, those are two big things about Alpha Atheris that you could definitely tell if you were looking over their VODs properly, and it's safe to say that Spacestation absolutely were. And now into round 2, seemingly trying to play even further into this lack of preparedness on the side of Alpha Atheris, as they're bringing both the Capcan and the Frost to take advantage of anybody who's not checking their corners like they should.
Yeah, maybe predicting that Alpha Atheris are going to want to speed things up to, because that is one way to take away a flank, is just be so fast that the flank doesn't have time to materialize. If Alpha Atheris decide to do that, which is their MO typically, then I think SSG are, as you mentioned, kind of playing right into that. JetCon is in T3, about to be in T3. No, drop down the ladder. Maybe. Oh, shooting the drone and then going T3. I like this. Daring the Amaru to send her way in.
Oh no, I'm not in T3. You can go just fine. Like, I'm not here at all. He's also got a frost map too, so perfectly playing to counter the Amaru. Again, just so well prepared. Mutombo, though, well prepared for that angle from Vil. Gonna get the first kill onto the Warden. Finally, someone on the board for Alpha Atheris, but the nuke from Aimkey is gonna take the kill onto Akibil, and TrevMax got another one by Toski, and an early advantage. Even the Ja in chat as Alpha Atheris look to advance and bring this back to even man count.
SSG Academy, a resounding start to Oregon thus far, but they're not out of the woods in round number 2 just yet. Alpha Atheris could still make it happen. Ivan is still alive, though he didn't have a great map 2. He was a big player, the best player for the team in map number 1, and he's just going to send it right in. Take down TrevMac, gets punished severely for it. He's down to 1 HP, but now they've got Vocal in a death grip, but he's good for both. Crossfire, be damned. Mutombo, the last remaining attacker in a 1 versus 3 outside the building. I think he was like still on that white window cutoff. He's got a whole minute to play with. So SSG were correct. Alpha Atheris were going to try to speed things up, and they read him like a book. They were beautifully prepared. And now what could Mutombo do except bait and hope that SSGA feed themselves into his crosshair? But look at how like stoic they are. They're like statues.
Look what I was going to say.
Look at that. Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Yeah,
there we go.
That. Vocal wraps that up cleanly. Wow. And you talked about it so perfectly. They know what Alpha Atheris are going to do before Alpha Atheris even do it. The first round they played on Oregon attacking, Alpha Atheris brought an Amaru. That is the first round they attacked on Oregon against Karn & Co. in their last game of the season. They brought in Amaru to try and go T3. There was a frost mat prepped for the exact window that Amaru likes to go to when they bring her in their first round of attacking on this map. Didn't even really matter. They knew exactly where this backup plan was for Akibil's entry, and that was that he was going to try and make a showers entrance. Either that or Ivan was going to go for some kind of showers hallway entrance. That's both things that Alpha Atheris tend to do. Generally, they just like to go through that exact doorway, and Spacestation are so ready for that. They're ready for early aggression. They know Ivan's going to be separated from his team, so they pick him off inside of the site. They can pick off of his teammates who are just holding cutoffs, or just wait for his teammates to walk in because they were just hoping they would throw the defense into disarray. Spacestation were losing to those kinds of strategies earlier today. They were getting thrown off their rocker completely. But now they've got, they must be calling for a lot more resets. They just generally have such better comms, and they aren't letting Alpha Atheris catch them off when they're running Ivan into the building first and hoping that that will be enough to give their players baiting on cutoff angles very easy kills.
If SSGA end up winning map 3, I would love to hear in the interview how the mental was after map 1 and going into map 2. Like, how did they keep themselves in it after getting 7-0'd and then coming back to win 7-1? Like, what was the mental like? Because they are, they're feeling hot. I mean, confident enough to bring out a dining strategy with the small tower shield. No Wamai or either. They're just relying on that Jaeger to play upstairs. And whoa, the run out from TrevMac. I mean, he goes 1 for 1, but Jaeger for Thatcher, I take that trade any day of the week.
TrevMac's already made his utility used. That Thatcher was a big piece of this defense, because now getting big walls open is going to be much, much harder unless you flush the players out of small tower. But Vil is currently sat in small tower waiting for some kind of push. But because Blitz is banned, which is something we've seen used to push these players out of this very position in small tower, there's nothing they can really do. They have to try and circumvent that player in small and hope they can find kills elsewhere. Let's see if they'll find it in showers. Ivan does start with a pick.
Vocal dies. Vil looking to maybe start coming down those tower stairs, and on his descent ends up killing Toski. Jetcon the next to die. Vil looking for it, but Akibil smokes him, leaving it up to Aimkey, who since come off his perch from upstairs through that hatch will dome Ivan. and now is in a 1 versus 2. Fatal's the man with the case, but he's very low. It's all up to Akabil to cover, and he's got enough flashbangs to delay, at least for now. But Aimkey smokes him and gets the planter! What a clutch from Aimkey! 5-0 on the board. SSG up 3-0.
Was about to compliment Alpha Atheris on how good they are at spotting gaps. We saw that map 1, we saw it again here as they started things off so strongly. And then we're ready for all the rotations back. They caught Vil coming back from Small Tower. They caught another one in the other hall. And then Aimkey just 1v1s everybody. They were finally back on it. And then the 1v1 gunfights they gave away completely foiled their plans.
Well,
Attackers need to locate
we'll find out if they win. We'll find out how the mental was after map 1, but we certainly know how the mental is right now. These boys are pumped. 3-0 on Oregon so far. Now 2-0, nothing to write home about, right? You're defending laundry and dorms, but winning dining room, not even meeting, dining room is huge, because now after this, SSGA can go to meeting on round 6, and it'll be a completely different look that Alpha Atheris now have to attack into. SSGA are looking probably better than they did on Skyscraper. They're looking as good as Alpha Atheris did on Chalet right now. And that's worrying if you're a fan of the Mexicans.
Oh yeah, and add onto that the comms that you just heard, how excited everybody got after that round win from SSGA. Apply that to the other side. Alpha Atheris are gutted after losing that round. They know that was the site they needed to win. If they could have pulled out a couple of attacking wins, this isn't a terrible starting half. You know, SSG maybe getting caught a little too confident. You can catch them flying too close to the sun and pull out all of the stops on your own defensive half. But losing that round, and now losing Toski to the opening kill from Vil, oh, I fear it may be over. This may not be comebackable in the slightest.
You saw the stage door was like slightly broken. I think Aimkey called the sound cue of the player passing by, which is what enabled Vil to get the run out. Brilliant team play if that's the case. And now the attack has to worry about JetCon and TrevMac holding ye old white stairs security crossfire. And there's no nades. You've lost your Grim, so you don't have, you know, like those pseudo firebolts that people use them as to help flush positions. You've got flashbangs, but TrevMac also has a hatch he can fall down. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Hearing that there's people now bearing down on him from kitchen, the Mav opens the wall. There's nothing to find.
I mean, they're currently trying to just think about it. They're maving open the reinforced walls into security just so they can clear the first floor on a basement defense. Basement, when you see people playing off the basement floor itself, to start, normally you'll see something loose, somebody towards the T1, maybe looking for some early pick. Ye old crossfire that eventually is dealt with about a minute in. We are currently 2 full minutes in, and Alpha Atheris are only just now starting to posture up for their late round push, while 1 player down. While they do still have a lot of drones, honestly, but they've got the mute to deal with on TrevMac, and they're still lacking a lot of control, a lot of information. They're going to have to expedite the execute, and that's not something they're used to having to do. SSG has Alpha Atheris looking like a completely different team, and I think they are all the better off for it. With 40 seconds, they're going to need to run straight into these crossfires set up for Space Station.
Not just crossfires, but the gas canisters from the smoke from Focal. He just used his last one on that bunker door to keep Matumbo at bay. There's still a C4 in the pocket of TrevMac and Vil. Speaking of, the Warden pipes up, gets his second onto Akabil, a third now for Vil, onto Fatal. Focal getting shot in his back, but the round is over. Flawless once again for SSG Academy. 3 kills for Vil and 4 points for the team.
It just feels so good for Space Station, right? That round went exactly how they planned it out. Exactly how, I believe it's DMC is their coach and their analyst alive. Exactly how both of them drew that up, and the team drew that up. I actually talked to Aimkey once, and he was talking about how he was helping pitch in and make some attack strats. Well, that defense strat is exactly what you want it to be. And they're completely, like I mentioned in the first round, foregoing that mirror that you typically see as a staple of the defensive hold, because they know exactly what Alpha Atheris are doing, and we are not seeing nearly enough adaptation out of Alpha Atheris. They caught SSG off on the first map. They 7-0'd them because Spacestation weren't adapting enough. But surely, as a team who's playing exactly into what you know is coming from the other side, you would know that the key is to adapt and make big changes on the fly.
4-0 for SSG ACAD. And when we had the round breakdown too, just to give you an idea of how comfortable they've felt on Skyscraper in Oregon, SSG Academy had 0 flawless round wins. In the last 2 maps, including Oregon, which isn't over, they have 4.
Oh, jeez.
Like, this is a completely different The last 2 maps, we're seeing a completely different SSG ACAD, not just from map 1, but from, like, the whole season. They look incredible right now. And let's not forget, I know the desk sounded like a broken record when they were saying it, Alpha Atheris are major attendees. Now, they didn't find too much success there, but they still freaking went to it. They were still at an international event playing against international teams. And they are falling flat on their face right now. They'll try to take a tactical timeout, think desperately of what they need to do to win these last 2 attacks. Because if SSGA pull out attacks like they did on Sky, this match is over. Alpha Atheris need these next 2 rounds.
Your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Are we about to watch a best of 3 where... Actually, I don't want to... I already said that it feels uncomebackable. I don't want to, like, double down on cursing SSG if they end up losing. But I'm just going to say that this is very one-sided so far. In the last 2 maps, across both of them, the team that ends up losing that map has only won 1 round. So, there has been a trend, and the trend seems to be continuing. Whether it will or not, I am not sure. I already may have cursed Space Station, so just want to make sure that I'm not to blame if anything happens. I wouldn't be anyway, but still. Alpha Atheris switching up the strat just a little bit. They've got the Glass picked, Gridlock as well. This could be speaking to perhaps a big window rush. That's something they did against Karnenko. But you want to know what they had that game that they don't have this game? They had a Blitz that was available on the board, and they could have brought it. They brought it in the past, and it didn't really do, or did do a lot for them. They can't do that here. However, they have killed Aimkey right off the rip. So, the Grim Reaper of Space Station, or I guess the Grim Reaper of Alpha Atheris, depending on how you think of it, for the last 2 maps, is deactivated early. Great start for Alpha Atheris, but Vil runs out and is traded eventually, though. So, fortunately, they will narrowly avoid a tragic start to this round.
Look at who they killed, though. And honestly, although SSG are down a man, they killed the only hard breacher. Alpha Atheris, though, might not be worried about that. It doesn't look like they're going to need the hard breacher, as they've got the Glass set up outside big window. This could just be a full big window white execute. There's the track stingers start coming out from Matumbo. Is this going to be an execute Gridlock? No one's moving off of it just yet. Alpha Atheris still staying still, setting up. No could be called now going out. Akabil looking to deny the close angles on the window from down below, just sending up pot shots through the ceiling. Focal now looking to challenge, but there's already a player on his white stairs. He misses the Dokubi by a hair, and now the shots connect from Akabil. Focal just needed to turn his attention below him to deny a really important part of this attack. But now Alpha Atheris have the foothold they're looking for. Trevmac just... Alright, Trevmac does that against a Glass, and the round is over.
I think Space Station are getting a little too excited. The momentum that they had and the good vibes that they had going on are just getting a little bit too crazy. They just try to spawn peek and then a run out, doubling down. And Alpha Atheris may not look like the best team right now, but you absolutely need to give them more respect than SSG just gave them in that early round. They just are given a man advantage completely for free, and then all Alpha Atheris need to do is take up relatively typical positions and catch out the relatively typical positions that Space Station are holding on the defensive side. That was not a challenging round for them at all, and it's good to see them win it, because when you are given that many opportunities at a weigh-in and you don't capitalize, that's a clear-cut sign that things are falling apart for you that day. However, Alpha Atheris, at the very least, are able to win a round where SSG give them a number of ways in. It's not typically the way they win rounds. It's not as flashy, not as unexpected or exciting, but a round win is a round win. And we talked about how 2 rounds here would help them a lot. If they can take this site again, maybe we aren't looking at the worst half in the world here for the LATAM team.
5 seconds remaining.
Like I said, they need these 2 attacking rounds. They've got half of it done.
Attackers are moving out.
They've got 1. All you really need on Oregon is 2. Even though SSGA's start was biblical, they only need 1 more attack. And the half is basically salvaged, really. I mean, it's not, it's not great. It's average. It's salvaged. Alpha Atheris now looking again at a Dorms attack. Similar strategy and operator lineup as their initial Dorms take, minus, like the Amaru. Very different from what we just saw, but of course SSG Academy likely predicting that Alpha Atheris weren't going to do the same thing twice. Akabil able to hack the Aruni gate. That'll make things a little bit... Alright. I was going to say that'll make things a little bit easier for his team, maybe later into the round, but I guess they forgot that it still, activates. And it still destroys your projectiles, so they'll eat Ivan's Ash Charge, so he's out of util. And Fatal is dead. That's ace. This time, that's a really important kill.
Absolutely. Last round, we can sacrifice it. We don't need the hard breach here. You absolutely need the hard breach. So disappointed to see Fatal overextend to such an extent where he can get caught out. Even if it wasn't a major overextension, you need to make sure your teammates clear everything, because you are carrying the most vital piece of utility on the team. You can get rid of a mute jammer in other ways. You can, deal with that mute jammer without the Thatcher or without the Twitch. You can deal with utility without the Brava, without the Ash, but you absolutely cannot lose your hard breach that quickly. Akibil is getting a little bit creative in trying to kill Aimkey, and they have knocked down JetCon in Attic, but things aren't looking great. That is until the advance comes out, but Aimkey gets a third, and Alpha Atheris are still on the back foot, and they need to figure out where to advance now.
3v2 with Aimkey feeling himself. This guy is now 9-1. Looking for a 4th. He'll land it. Could Aimkey find 2 aces in the same series? He just needs 1 more, but Akibil shuts him down. 4 is all that the Wamai will get. But it was a crucial 4. This could stop Alpha Atheris from taking that typical half and put them on an incredibly disadvantageous back foot. Down 1-5 on map 3. Akabil looking to cut off that Attic angle, but he doesn't have to worry about it because Focal and Phil are holding across from Kids and from Games, and Focal will be the one to put Akibil down. 5-1 lead for SSGA.
Get back to the bans for a little bit. Notice who's still up. We mentioned it coming into the game. Mira up, Fenrir up, Tubarao up. There are a lot of good defending operators that are still playable, and we're seeing Tubarao brought already, something we never saw from Spacestation. And I really like that pick from Alpha Atheris, because we talk ad nauseum about how good Spacestation are at executing late, but at the same exact time, on the other end of that seesaw, how slow they are in their early map clears. So you bring Ivan to slow the drones, to put some presence off the site with that P10 Roni, and then you bring the Tubarao to slow the breaching of the hatches even more than you need to. Yes, the Maverick is being brought seemingly in response by Focal, but even then, it's still a pretty slow solution, and SSG is a team we know goes fairly slow. This is a great composition here for Alpha Atheris, and I think they do stand a decent shot at making the comeback at least start pretty well for them, because of how many good defensive operators are still left up in this scenario, regardless of how down they may be for now. I don't think we should count them out just yet.
SSGA Cats still have to attack on Oregon. Like you mentioned, they're good at attacking late, but Oregon is still typically a pretty tough map to attack, no matter who you're playing against. Now, they do only have to win 2 rounds, just like we talked about with Alpha Atheris. 2 rounds is really all you need to make it a decent half. Well, 2 rounds is all SSGA need to win. And Alpha Atheris playing very bunker heavy. Look at SSG checking every nook and cranny, checking the spot that TrevMac was sitting in when he was misdroned in round, what was that, round 1? All the way back there, they checked that corner. SSGA want to make sure that there is 0 opportunity for Alpha Atheris to get freaky.
And they've been doing that all season long. We know they've been doing that all season long. And Alpha Atheris are aware they're going to continue to do that. Hence why we see the Mozzie so they can deny more drones. We see the Tubarao so they can hold the push up even longer than they would be able to as per usual. And then they're set up very well between the Warden, who granted is only running a 1-time scope, but still, he's well set up for a Pillar's Take later, well set up to deal with any flashbangs that may be on the table. So again, Alpha Atheris are still pretty well adjusted for how long SSG will take on this roam clear, and they are in fact living up to that mantra we've given them of taking forever to clear the map initially, as they're only just now starting to map open that E-box hatch. The Tubarao is going to make it much more annoying as well, because it even does slow down the ability of that map torch. So this is time being burned, and a hatch that's being burned slower than it needs to be, and I don't know if that's something that Space Station can afford.
Yeah, Tubarao makes Mav incredibly inefficient. It's really annoying. It takes so long just to, like, for one tick to actually go through while it's frozen. And something else Fatal brings is a C4. Ivan's already used his, but in Fatal's position, he's going to be in prime spot to use it once the execute finally starts to come through. SSGA continuing to collect information. They spot out the crossfire being held between Ivan and Akibeel. Here in Pillar, they're going to try and use flashbangs to flush them out, but Akibeel is Warden, so that's not going to work terribly well. Ivan pushing up on JetCon is successful in getting the kill, as in comes the drop from Vil, now stuck between the 2 players, killed by Akibeel. Ivan a second with the pistol, a third with the pistol. Ivan stepping up huge. And Alpha Atheris start their defensive half with a win.
So much time wasted, and it didn't even feel like SSG didn't have enough time at the end of that round, right? They had what they needed to have open, they had some decent info, but the Grim, before being able to really be too much, gets shot by Ivan walking up the stairs. Perfect timing from Ivan on that aggression, and that's something we know he's able to do. So good at timing his aggression for just what seems to be the most inconvenient moment for the other team. That's when Ivan will strike. And so now, Alpha Atheris get that second round. They're going to go back upstairs, bringing the Tubarao again bringing that Fenrir. And they're just so well set up for when SSG are going to go for these late executes. I feel like both of these teams now are hitting their stride in terms of knowing what's coming from the other side. And now Alpha Atheris could be making a comeback. At the very least, we've already seen the closest map that we've seen all series. So I'm relatively content with that. I think Alpha Atheris should be as well, but I know for a fact they won't be fully content unless they win this map.
Talked about Fenrir and Tubarao, you know, 2 of the big 7 operators on the defense. 2 that we didn't talk about that are now rearing their head, that strangely enough SSGA ignored all of their defense, are Valkyrie and Cade. Valkyrie, you know, much more surprising considering how good she is everywhere. Literally every map, every site, she's useful. One of the few operators where that's the case. Cade, not as surprising. I mean, he's still good, but with a Thatcher up, he's not great. SSGA, though, not bringing a Thatcher, maybe something Alpha Atheris read into, you know, maybe past Vods showed that SSG aren't necessarily a fan of bringing him. And now Cade is, you know, he's good again. The Mav is what's going to be probably like the main counter, but Mav isn't great for Games Wall. So you're still going to have to try and find some way to deal with that electric wall.
The attic wall uniquely being dealt with by Akibeel. Oh my gosh. The flashbang hit him directly, but the player on the T2 window wasn't looking in the right spot. So they had a freebie, but they don't get the kill. Oh my gosh, we've seen so many hilarious mistimings today, but that may be the funniest one. First damage of the round is dealt by the flashbang from Focal. And Akibiel does manage to reinforce that wall in Attic, so it's going to be even more time spent. And again, just like on map 1, Alpha Atheris waiting as long as they possibly need to before falling back and ensuring that this Space Station Academy takes as long on the roam clear as they possibly can while dealing as little damage as they possibly can.
As far as the roam goes, it looks like it's just Ivan. It's not even really a roam. It's more
Extension.
it's more of a rat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not really looking to contest the attack. He's just hiding, biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. SSGA looking to clear in through Attic. They have to worry about the Fenrir's, and I think that destroyed it. I saw that little puff of purple where they spotted the Dread Mine before, so that's a successful nade. Phil can't make too much headway with his Rotero, and Aim Key just, all right. He just did that. At the very least, JetCon is able to fully push all the way down Attic, and Aim Key just swinging the doorway dry, finds the first kill of the round, looking for another as JetCon gets traded out. Matumbo hits the floor. Aim Key has to worry about this player just behind the bunker, but it's Focal to kill him. Fatal backs up into Aim Key, and finally Ivan will make his presence known. Coming up from the basement, getting one, now trapped between the door and the Stingers. They know exactly where he is. The plant is going down, and Trevmac has the cover. SSGA on match point.
They just went in. They were given too much space. Alpha Atheris just let them walk in way too quickly, and SSG just won their gunfights on their way in. Couldn't have made it look any easier on those entries, and who but Aim Key, right? Maybe it's, you know, oh, he's not typically the hard breach. Normally that's Focal. Focal was playing the Mav. Aim Key just as good at walking in and getting kills when he's playing the Ace as he is when he's on an Ash or a Yacht. I know. And that's why it's so dangerous. And like at surface level, you may think, oh, why is Aim Key playing Ace? But that's why. Because it's the AK-12. It's exactly
guns in the game.
It's I would even say the best gun in the game, right? So that's why he's playing it. And it's up there. Yeah, undoubtedly. And when you put those Selmas down, you think about it. You throw your Selmas. Granted, he did throw one at a fully electrocuted wall, so maybe he didn't throw the Selmas as well as he could have. But he threw them, and then he walked in, and he won them that round eventually after he made a little bit of a mistake, again, throwing the Selma at a wall where it had no hope of doing anything. But yeah, I mean, just they switch up the roles so efficiently, Space Station, and that time the switch works perfectly because it puts Aim Key on an AK-12.
Yeah, if that isn't a perfect example of someone playing an operator for a gun, I don't know what is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who needs the game's wall when you just have everyone walk in at the same time and kill everyone? Ivan is once again in the basement. I don't really know why he's down there. It didn't work last time, and
he got
has
his
more
kill.
faith in his
He
team.
got his kill.
Yeah, he did get his kill.
If that's the mentality he's playing with, I'm scared.
Like I said, maybe he just believes in his team, trusts his team that that's not going to happen again. SSGA have swapped one pick in particular. Reloading. Trevmac is off of Dokkaebi and on Lion. Now, I don't really know what prompted that change, considering the Dokkaebi worked, and they're bringing a Valkyrie, making Dokkaebi, more powerful. One, you shut down the usability of those cams with your call, and if you hack, then those Valkyrie cameras are an incredible aid to the attack. But I do also know Trevor personally, and I know that he adores Lion, so it's probably a...
I mean, hey,
he's just in love with it.
Yeah, you just literally in love with Lion, right? Oh my gosh, that pre-fire nearly took off Akibiel's feet. Fortunately, no damage dealt this time. Not going to lose about 5 HP to a flashbang. Instead, going to lose 0. And then Matumbo going to lose the first damage of the round. Deals some in return to Vil, but that's a huge kill for the Flores to find. However, he's been traded out and losing all of that live util with him. Ivan Reese swings to try and kill the player on the lobby door, but it's not going to go well for him. Back on this AK-12 is Aim Key, and he's already taking aims and taking names. And the name Ivan removed in the lobby in the process, as another one-player advantage for Space Station Academy. And I do also quickly want to point out Toski's back on the Fenrir, which is something that did absolutely nothing when Aim Key was walking in last time. So hopefully he'll fix that, because that could make things even better in this late round here for Alpha Atheris. having impact with those F-Nots that wasn't had last round could be a big difference maker, but for now, SSG 1 player up, they feel great.
Yeah, Aimkey walked into the mine and then like no
Yeah,
one
he
shot
could see-
him.
yeah,
I
and
don't
he-
know why.
And he could still kind of see relatively well. Like I was just
Yeah,
confused. I
especially
had to
because
point
like
it
the
out.
guy who was in games before he died was like close around the corner. Aimkey
Yeah.
would have probably been able to see him anyway, considering the range it was at. And now more Selvas come out. This time they do go off, and one will start to expose Akabil's position. But do they know? No, they do not. Akabil gets a freebie onto Aimkey and is able to fall back onto the bomb site, almost caught with a goo mine in hand. SSG had not pushed up quite that far just yet. Trevmac is outside big window looking for a cutoff. The man with the case is Focal, who's looking to maybe send it up white. They're going to have to decide soon with only 12 seconds left. Trevmac knows there's one stuck in the corner. It's the Cade. Focal is stuck on the stairway as Trevmac dies. Case is dropped. It's all on JetCon, and he can't make any headway. The last 3 members of Alpha Atheris all step up with a kill apiece, and they keep the team alive, at least for now.
So many unexpected rat positions. You talked about it in round 8. Well, round 9, the rats really started to come into play. Vil traded out by a ratting Ivan downstairs. Yes, Ivan was traded quickly, but you have to put somebody in a very strange, different position to try and actually deal with that. Aimkey, the one who traded the first rat, not ready for the second one. And Akibil swings him out of Master through the Selma hole that Aimkey himself just made, clearly not getting it close enough to the corner and not forcing Akibil to get aggressive initially, gave him enough time to wait until the Selma was fully activated and then walk through. 2 huge kills, because then you're stuck with 2 players in attic and 1 guy at Master Big Window. Or not Master Big Window, but just Big Window. Those 2 people, those 2 pushes are in totally different places and don't really work too well off each other, so they had to push the one guy to white stairs to try and play better off the guy who was at Big Window. Too much time being wasted there. All time that could have been used to maybe gather some info on the players on site, or take some gunfights, fire some pot shots, and scare those defenders back into more reserved positions, but instead time that was wasted reallocating players to different positions, and it ends up being a great round for Alpha Atheris.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Now, the concern I have for Alpha Atheris at this particular moment is not the round at hand. I think they can win Laundry, no problem, especially with how it went last time. The problem is they're going to have to win an offsite. Meeting or dining. And with the way SSGA are playing, I think they can do it. Even then, if they win the offsite, they've got to go back to dorms if they want overtime, a site that SSGA have already won, and now they're going to be aware of Ivan's lurk in the basement. So, Alpha Atheris need to give us a different look in this round and in that possible dorms defense if they want overtime to happen. SSGA clearing in from the west side. Ivan, really the only hard roamer, and again, it's more of a rat play.
Yep.
More trying to stay hidden than actually, waste time or contest the attack. I don't think he's been droned, so there is that. The Dokubi call was way too early for any of the attack to actually spot him out, so have to keep our eye on Ivan, and JetCon will be his first victim. 10 rounds in, JetCon's 0-7.
If my entry stats are right, that's the second time that on this site specifically, Ivan has killed JetCon
You are
to
correct.
go down first. There we go. I am correct.
I will corroborate that.
There we
I said
go.
corroborate.
Kawaba What do we? But
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
we're on the same wavelength today. I don't know what it is, but 3-round lead for Spacestation, but it may be coming a little bit lower than it needs to. And Akibil, he's been spotted in garage. The rat plays not seemingly all gonna work, as now it also feels like only a matter of time until Ivan gets caught out because they're aware of his position. But more importantly, those track stingers are gonna make it nigh impossible for him to make anything happen without giving his position away. Aimkey and Lobby, you think he could get flanked? No, he's already left track stingers on his flank to try and deal with just that, but he's not watching out ahead of him.
What?
It's fatal, completely whiffs with the shotty. Here comes Ivan eventually to refrag from Lobby, but the push is going to the backside, not going well as Toasty gets 2 in a row. Vil can't see a darn thing, and Matumbo is going to clean him up as well. Alpha Atheris strike back in a big way downstairs, but now the trouble comes as they have to go to the middle floor.
All right, that almost got a little too silly. Alpha Atheris luckily able to still come away with it. That whiff from Fatal was almost a terrible one, but luckily Ivan was there to refrag, still on the roam. I was going to mention, yeah, like they knew Ivan was there, but they only had a minute left, and they would have to dedicate a lot of time to getting him. Well, we thought we were going to get SSG's comms, but we're not. So, timeout from SSG Academy. I think this is a well-timed one. You know, you've just lost Laundry, whatever. Basement bomb site. Now you're up 6-4. 2 rounds to go. We're attacking onto the off-site. This is where we need to see a fierce attack from SSGA to lock things down. And they're probably, honestly, they're probably talking about that that dorms defense too that they'll have to attack into should this round not be a win for them.
I genuinely think they may just be full focusing on the round ahead, right? Because you think about it, if you're in the right headspace, attacking into that off bomb site is definitely winnable. They've got to be allocating time towards both sides because, you know, you don't expect dining, but they themselves play dining on defense. So it makes sense for them to, you know, leave some time in the discussion to talk about maybe if they have to attack into dining and kitchen, but also you need to talk about meeting in kitchen, which is where Alpha Atheris end up going. So you need to fully make sure you have enough time to talk about both of those bomb sites. And the other big reason as to why I think they should just talk about the site ahead is because it's so winnable if you're in the right mindset. Just fully prepare your team as the coach of Spacestation Academy for what's to come on this bomb site. And there's no reason they shouldn't be able to win it other than just Alpha Atheris out-frag us. Because if you get them in the right headspace, they're not going to fall victim to the same rat plays they were falling victim to all game. They're not going to mess up the strats. They know what to do, when to do it. It's just going to come down to how good Alpha Atheris can play in those individual fights and how well they can hold their positions they need to hold down.
SSG Academy now rocking the Flores. First time they'll play him since round 8, who's on a dorms attack. As we know, on this site, you need to hold upstairs. That Flores is going to be pretty impactful. JetCon, however, will not be, as he's our opening death once again. Akabil gets aggressive in small power, puts JetCon down to 0-8.
You lose the Nomad early this time. Big loss. That's your flank watch, which on Oregon isn't always a big deal, but with Alpha Atheris on the other side of the server, that's a huge deal. As Bill's going to walk into dining, try and take some more far-up control. He has to fight against Akabil, and the flick is in! My goodness, the G36 will dispatch of Akabil in just a couple shots, one of them to head. That's all you really need. And the Legion will eventually fall. 1 minute in, control of dining side now for Space Station Academy. This isn't a terrible start, all things considered, especially since you remove the live util of the Goose.
Does look like they're setting up for a kitchen execute, now taking the case over there, which means they really have to worry about these top floor defenders. This is where that verticality comes into play the most, because all of that kitchen ceiling is fully destructible, plus the hatch. It gives the defense a lot of coverage in through this bomb site. That's what the Echo's job is going to be upstairs, is to make sure SSGA can't just walk in for free and start getting a plant down. Aimkey soloing in through the lobby as the Flores. I don't know how much info he's actually got. The Echo drone spots him out, which means he's going to make a mad dash back out the front door. But I mean, hey, you got a yokai for it, which is honestly pretty good, especially with how slow SSGA takes.
Yeah, but he's now got to waste a lot of time maybe getting to a new spot. Either that or he's just going to go play in Garage. Very isolated, very by himself. But this could be a big flank if there's no intel to possibly watch for it. However, you mentioned they need to worry big time about these players upstairs. Nothing being done to deal with them at all. Maybe Trev Mac's going to try and play the window, but they've got someone in Green Hall ready to deal with that. Alpha Atheris should win this round if it ends towards Kitchen. And now SSG, I feel like they're totally pivoting at the last moment.
Aimkey's hunting for the Echo, and Matumbo is watching the hatch. Fatal, the next to die. Vil goes down. Toski's in the middle of the bomb site looking for the case carrier, but can't land the shots just yet. Finally, Focal's dead. Trev Mac can't jump his way through. It's all on Aimkey. 1v2. Flash goes out. Pistol out as well, but he's blind. And the C4 finishes him off. Toski going huge in the dying seconds. just as Aimkey makes a huge play upstairs, no one else on the team could make it happen on the bomb site.
Space Station Academy with that flank play from Aimkey, or rather the lurk play from Aimkey, were prepared for exactly the thought process that I was thinking, which is these guys have put no effort into clearing our top floor. We win this round for free if they push kitchen. Aimkey makes the play, kills 2 upstairs, but then, like you said, nobody anywhere else does anything else. Alpha Atheris have their site players step up big time, and yes, preventing the defenders from playing upstairs is big, but they didn't actually do anything to leverage that vertical control because they got it so late, and as a result, players could play inside security, play inside kitchen, and absolutely nothing could be done about them other than just hoping you win the head-to-head gunfights. But Alpha Atheris won them. So now they're going back to dorms, a site which they have already won once. They did lose it once, but they've also won it once. They look like they know what they're doing on this site. This is a scary spot for Space Station. Just after the tactical timeout, Alpha Atheris could force us to OT at the last possible moment.
SSGA rocking Grim, Lion, and Dokkaebi. So they're going to have a lot of info at their fingertips. A lot of info that will not only, you know, just be info, but also have kind of the second function of being able to lock a lot of these defenders down.
No flank.
You see the, yeah. I mean, well, they got drones, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
They might allocate more drones to the flank because they have the Flores.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But, they also heard that window break. Did you see Focal, like, immediately crouch behind that bus? He was scared. He does not want to go down like JetCon's been in the last couple rounds. Sorry, Jet.
Yeah, unlucky. His name is Jet, right? Like, it's Jet Conley? I think
Yeah,
that's
Jet Conley.
That's a cool name.
His real name is Jet.
I almost have the same last name as him. Conley.
Yeah.
Look at that. Anyways, 45 seconds into this round, Alpha Atheris are falling off of their early positions as JetCon with some of the most satisfying bucket destruction that you will ever see. And he's just making sure that nobody playing inside of kitchen, and I think this makes sense given the Alpha Atheris pedigree, right? They're either going to roam and play for rats, that's what they've been doing all map, and Ivan's doing it again, or they're going to try and maybe bunker down the bomb site, extend just a little bit. And SSG are just kind of clearing that area in between, right? They talk so much about clearing the bridge players. Well, now they're just kind of clearing the bridge itself, not the people on it. And they've already allocated someone to flanking Ivan. He's about to die in Fraser.
Vil waiting for him. Ivan's going back up the freezer stairs. He's evading this player at least for now, but JetCon knows what's coming. He is on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Ivan actually ends up being killed by Aimkey, but JetCon did start the round with the kill on Toski, the Capcan. Now a 2-man lead for SSGA, though. Not by a whole lot. JetCon is 1 HP. Akibil gets spotted on the drone. The Lion now sending shots his direction, and Akibil loses the damage trade there, lit up to 1 HP, just like JetCon. The Lion scan coming out, allowing SSGA to put their pieces into position. They'll eat some damage from the impact. Aimkey now on the kid's window rappel, prepared to cut any players off as they run away from this attic rotate. But he's applying a lot of pressure. This player in kids cannot move. Akibil is on the floor. Bill goes down to Matumbo, traded out instantly by the window player, and it's all on Fatal. 1 HP in a dream, kills the Grim.
Wait.
3 more to find.
That's Case.
JetCon 1 HP. Trevmac is 1 bullet away from death since this is the DMR, and like you said, Fatal's got Case. This is winnable, but he looks the wrong way, and JetCon puts him down. A comeback to end all comebacks. Down 0-7 on map 1. SSG, they don't care. They win it 2-1.
What an insane map. I was contending you earlier and saying that this was a close series, and maybe at the start it didn't feel like it, but the individual rounds on those first couple of maps oftentimes got really, really close, and we saw the culmination of it there. Both teams on defense fully prepared for what they would see on attack, but it's SSG adapting their dorms take that they hadn't switched for either of their first 2 takes onto that bomb site that really works it out. Both of these teams, when they were looking bad, struggled to make adaptations. So fitting that it would be Space Station adapting in such a big way that wins them this game. and Alpha Atheris absolutely no way to possibly expect it. The only one they had in a good position to deal with that below play was Ivan. He was expected by Spacestation as well. I don't think that round could have fallen apart any worse for Alpha Atheris. An outstanding job to Spacestation for being ready for all of it.
Yeah, and we say goodbye to our last Mexican team as Cinta Negra and Cruelty had already departed in the Swiss stage. And our only major attendees. A lot of people thought they were going to be a shoo-in for grand finals. Now they're gone, and SSGA proved beyond a shadow of a doubt they belong in the playoffs. That's it for match number 1. We're going to go back to the desk to break this one down.
Academy come back from what seemed like the point of no return. It looked like it was over after map 1, Connor, yet they fight tooth and nail to get to this point and to take the win.
Especially in a position where, sure, they're starting on defense once again, they get the good splits, and they have to go back onto their attacks that we had only seen them win 2 so far through 2 maps. The clutch factor, super. That was something that we definitely talked about and was required and definitely fulfilled by AIM-Key.
Yeah, in a match like this where both teams, they're struggling a bit on attack on this map, Oregon's a pretty simple map to kind of plan what you need, right? With 2 morale up, obviously basement's super strong. So you want to say, you're going to lose 2 basement rounds. That means you'll probably get the offsite 1 round and, 2 rounds attacking kids. What does that mean? You have to win the offsite, and you need 1 or 2 of those kids rounds. They got clutched on the offsite, and then what happened? Instead of them being up 6-5 at the end there, they were down 5-6. At the last round, they kind of maybe got a little ahead of themselves and gave their lives away, and SSG Academy capitalized on, to be honest, Alpha Atheris just only winning 1 attack.
Connor, this is something that you pointed out as well on map 2. The fact that the stark difference between map 1 SSG and map 2 and 3 SSG, there was a lot of things we could pinpoint, but one of them is the existence of crossfires on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there was just not really a whole lot that Alpha Atheris could do on their attacks, and once again, both of these teams really did struggle on the attacking side. Besides Chalet, both Skyscraper and Oregon, attacks were few and far between. And at the end of the day, once again, where you have somebody like AIM-Key really stepping up on the side of SSG Academy, it's the difference maker. It's the catalyst that allowed them to propel themselves into this victorious position.
Well, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. AIM-Key, a heck of a performance, and now we've got a chance to speak to the man himself about this impressive victory. AIM-Key,
What's up, man?
initial
What's up?
thoughts. I mean, how are you feeling, dude?
I mean, what can they do when I'm floating like that? Like, they can't do anything about it. I'm just floating.
Dude, you were everywhere, map 2 and map 3. Before we get to the good stuff, let's talk map 1. Obviously, that did not go your way. How do you come back from a loss like that?
I think when you get, like, especially when you're a 7-0'd, you kind of really just have to take very centralized, like, narrow points of, like, what lost you that map and just, like, forget about it and move on to next. So we took that, like, AAT's really showing their attacks, like, they don't really try to, like, switch it up mid-round, like, wherever they're at the early round, that's where they're gonna, like, try to finish. And then we just obviously, like, paid attention to, like, they're going super fast on these executes, let's try to, like, slow them down and everything. So that's what we took after that 7-0, and obviously it gave us success on Skyscraper and Oregon.
Well, be fully upfront with me here. Tell me where the mental was at. Last 2 rounds of map 1, making the transition into map 2. Did you have anything left in the tank, or did you have everything? I mean, how'd you make that work?
I mean, I don't think we weren't mentally chalked. It was all in, like, a go next mindset. I mean, I'll be honest. I was biting my nails a little bit. I'm like, I gotta lock in really to succeed to win this game. But, like, no, we had a really good mental rebound. We just knew to, like, really lock in on those Skyscraper defenses because, like, we could tell AAT wouldn't be the greatest team on Skyscraper, and just, like, not give them any freebies, pretty much.
Talk to me a little bit more about that Skyscraper pick. We kind of came into that map, frankly, obviously worried about you guys after the first map, but also about Skyscraper is not a map that we, typically see you guys going towards. Was that something specifically cooked up for Alpha Atheris? Was it just time to bring it out? I mean, what was the mindset going into that?
So you'll laugh at this, but we picked Chalet and they picked Skyscraper. So we got smoked on Chalet. I can't say anything else. So we played really badly. We did not expect them to pick Skyscraper. Also, we thought they were gonna go Bank, and we were kind of prepping. I think I've played like 20 maps of Bank in like the last 2 weeks just preparing for it. So it was a surprise for us too, but we knew it was an option. And I think historically, like SSGA through like all the iterations, we've just been a really good Sky team. I've been a really good Sky player throughout like my history, like whether that was with Carnival, 1 HP and everything. So I'm really comfortable on the map, and I knew my team was comfortable on the map. So I think it was no worries really.
Well, yeah, clearly you were comfortable there. God, it was what, the ace? I'm trying to think, was that like round 3, round 4, sometime, you know, early-ish on Skyscraper, where it really felt like, okay, this guy is starting to go crazy.
Well, what happened is we lost the first round, then I 4K'd the second round, and then I got an ace on the third round. So, you know, kind of helps us bounce back, you know?
Yeah, quickly recovers the mental game, no doubt.
Yeah. And then, especially when I'm like shouting at the top of my lungs, like it's a little energy boost, like for the team. Amazing.
Well, congratulations on this win. This was a big deal. You guys knocked out what some people said to be a shoe-in to the finals, a major attendee. Any last things you wanna say before we get you on out of here, looking towards in 2 days' time when we see you in the semis?
I got a couple names to cook. So first, Crow, man, you gotta get off Twitter when I'm like, you can't try to be talking trash to me in the middle. Like, I showed you my game, buddy. I saw the picture. I showed you my game. You weren't ready. And then obviously you too. Like, none of you guys besides Light Rose predicted us to win. So like, I told you what happened. You could have changed your prediction. I gave you fair warning that I was ready to be floating. And then besides that, just shout out to my team and everything. Even though I may have played well today, it was all because I had a strong team with me. Like, all of them great guys. I love them. Can't wait to play semis on Saturday. Just thank you for everyone watching, and yeah, more to come.
Amazing. AMKey, congratulations again. A heck of a performance, and maybe there'll be fewer doubters next time, especially on my side. We'll see you next time, man.
See you, man.
Wow. What a victory. And AMKey floating. He was floating through those last 2 maps. Super. I know we teased him a little bit map 2 about, is AMKey gonna be the guy to save the day? What can't this guy do? And then he kind of came out and showed us what he really could.
Yeah, honestly, the simple difference between map 1 and the other 2 maps for SSG Academy, outside of Alpha Atheris maybe just simply not being as good as the other maps, is AMKey, in a way, he did credit his teammates, of course, but he put the team on his back. I think he had 30 kills or maybe even over 30 kills those last 2 maps. It's hard to lose a match, when somebody's averaging 15 kills a map, as you see there. The guy almost had a 2.0 KD. He was doing it with entry. He's averaging over a kill a round. And even with a teammate like JetCon struggling, it doesn't matter because, the rest of the team picks him up. And then on the side of Alpha Atheris, you look at them and, these are kind of the stats you expect to see from them. Ivan has been carrying a little bit all season, and the rest of them have been around that neutral area. And the difference today, I think, was just that AMKey was better than everyone on Alpha Atheris, and when it came down to it, he had the clutches, he had the aces, and even if you want to say maybe they're not the better team today, they had the best player.
And well, technically they came in as the higher seed, so the 4 seed over the 5 seed, at least according to the chalk. That's not an upset, but I think according to maybe all of our expectations, maybe we didn't necessarily see that one coming. SSG Academy, Connor, they are awaiting the victor of Envy Dilemma. But to get here in the way that they did against Alpha Atheris, we may have expressed some doubts about their mental game after that first map and their ability to regroup. But talk about mirroring the main SSG roster mental game and coming back in a big way.
Yeah, and especially because what we saw in Element 1 was a certain team have one player stepping up and dropping 20 bombs, and they went all the way. That was Karn & Co with Packer. Can SSG Academy really sort of encapsulate that energy once again and go on a deep run? Maybe, just maybe they can.
Sometimes it's all about heating up at the right moment, and SSG, that is a heck of a way to start. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we return to a next quarterfinal with 2 teams who last collided in the qualifiers to get into Element 2. It's Envy and Dilemma coming up next.